take my Clark Kent glasses off. Big Sills! Good afternoon. Welcome aboard. Appreciate Jesus criminy, look at this. Okay? Hold on. What's this here, Twiz? Before I even start, Sills, you got Mark Holmes all in his feelings yesterday. You said you don't, or he said you don't know shit about the Cowboys, and they're not trading his precious Dak. Who in the world said that I said they were trading Dak Prescott to the Patriots? That guy needs to understand. Hey, if you guys think I struggle in Super Chats, that guy needs to take an English lesson in how to read a tweet. I said they're kicking around the idea of potentially trading Dak Prescott to the New England Patriots. I didn't say they were trading him. And I can guarantee Mark Holmes, who I've never heard of. I've never heard of Mark Holmes. I have no idea who Mark Holmes is. Okay? I mean, that's right. Xander just said it. Do you think Mark Holmes, the son of John Holmes, has ever had Stephen Jones on 4 times on his show? Who in the world is Mark Holmes? Will somebody please tell me? I mean, who's Mark? Wait a minute, LJ. I'm going to take your professionalism and I'm going to do, Bob, your professionalism. Who the fuck is Mark Holmes? Who's Bob Holmes? Who is this guy? Who is he? Who's John Holmes that covers the Cowboys? He must have a long and distinguished career. Bang. Who is this guy? Hey, who in the world is Mark Holmes? I've never heard of any of these guys. Dude, the only guy that I know is Philly 500. And that's because Xander introduced him to me. He's a poor man's Philly 500, but for the Cowgirls. Oh, so wait a minute. He's a guy that sits around and he's a guy that sits in his mom's panties and he talks Cowboys? Come on, dog. Give me somebody real. Okay? If you were going to give me like Tim Clavashaw, somebody like that, okay, from the Dallas Morning News, all right. Rick Gosselin, who we get on, John Holmes, a blogger for the Cowboys, who sits in his old lady's panties. Come on, man. Come on, man. I can't handle that. Please, if you're going to come at me, man, be somebody. LJ's more famous than John Holmes. No, John Holmes has got you, dog. I'm going to have to say Mark Holmes. LJ's more famous. Flex is more famous. Who in the hell? Hey, did he even tweet at me or something? I got to check this out at Dan Sileo show. I have no idea who Mark Holmes is. Did he even? No, he didn't have the balls to do that. Shut his ass down in a second because he knows I know the Jones family. I mean, so Jimmy Johnson and Stephen Jones come on my program regularly. But this guy, Mark Holmes, he don't know shit about. He has a no trade. No shit. No shit he has a no trade. But if Dak can get out of there with a brand new contract, he'll take the deal in New England, wouldn't you? If someone was going to, wait a minute, get this. This to show you how fucked up that guy is and doesn't know shit because he sits in his old lady's panties in his basement. You know what he said? He has a no trade. Well, if somebody's going to give me $60 million a year for 3 years and pay me $180 million, what am I going to do? I'm not going to New England. Yeah. Yeah, look what they did. They extorted Deshaun Watson, and they bribed him to go to Cleveland. If you can get a quarterback to go to Cleveland, you can get a quarterback to go to Boston. Holy shit. The Cowboy fans and the people that cover the Cowboys are delusional, and guess what? They are so bitchy. They are so bitchy. Don't talk about my Cowboys. Your Cowboys have sucked for 30 freaking years. 30 years. You can't get out of the first round. Get the hell away from people. The Cincinnati Bengals are more successful in the last 25 years. Holy shit. Mark Holmes. That's a new one. Hey, when WIP comes after me or the Fanatic or one of those loser hosts says something, that's one thing. But Mark Holmes, a guy in his old lady's panties in his basement, wearing high heels, Sileo doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Who is that guy? Holy cow, man. Hey, LJ and Niner all day, Lit City. You guys are 10 times more famous, man. Shit, Cowboys. The Cowboys haven't done dick in 30 years. They haven't done dick in 30 years. It's got to be the longest TV series that fails than any other TV show in the history of television. At least but they do get high ratings. And their cheerleaders are good. Well, kind of. I love the boots. Mark Holmes. Like the guy in San Francisco, too, that guy Cohn, who came after me. I'll be like, who are these people? They're like little Xanders. Dude, those guys aren't famous. They're not more famous than Xander. Hey, that's true right there. Xander could shut the thing off, and then he's not. Hey, he does have the light. Wait, hang on here. Wait a minute. That was pretty boss of a power move right there. He just turned the light switch off. Oh, my God. Did you see that? Xander just turned the light switch off on me. Okay, Sills, you want me to show you something here, kid? I'll show you something real good here. Okay. Hey, back on. Back off. Back on. Hey, why? Shine on, shine off. Xander just made a power play. Yeah, RTF. He just made a power play on me. Holy crap. Hey, Sills, you want to keep talking shit? That thing will be longer than next. Holy cow. And by the way, that'll reflect at the end of the month. Holy cow. Mark Holmes. Holy shit. Let me get into some stuff that's totally relevant. Let's put this thing back into reality. And by the way, we put people on that people know. Oh, my God. John Holmes is like taking shots at Sileo doesn't know shit. Ugh. Like I'm a reporter. Okay? I'm not. How many times I got to tell you that? Freaking Twiz is more famous. Good grief. All right. Very seldom does a sporting event live up to the hype. It just doesn't. But last night, it did. LSU and Iowa last night had me captivated. All for the right reasons. Nothing transsexual. Nothing political. Nothing trans visibility thing, gay. Just women's sports elevating women and empowering women. You had 4 stars playing last night, even after with UConn and USC. The men's don't have stars in the Final Four. They got one, the kid from Purdue. You had 4 stars last night. Angel Reese was spectacular. Kim Mulkey circled the event with her controversies. I mean, I think Caitlin Clark's range is when she walks into the arena. I've never seen a person in my entire life ever duplicate Steph Curry except her. No man has ever duplicated Steph Curry. But one person has. Caitlin Clark has duplicated the play of Steph Curry and emulated it to where now she's elevating women's sport. Dude, that thing's going to get north of 7 million. That thing is going to get north of 7 million. 41, 12, and 7. How about the 12 assist off a 41-point night? It's like a Magic Johnson night. That thing was unbelievable to watch. LSU was spectacular too, man. And to have that thing play out in an Elite Eight is sad. You should have had that thing at least in the Final Four, where you would have got monster numbers. Man, women's basketball is in a time now where it's must-see TV. I'm going to watch the women's finals more than I'm going to watch. I'll watch the Final Four. I won't lie. But the women have me more captivated. Man, we're sitting around watching that thing. The early numbers are coming in, and it's insane. Very seldom. You know, the only thing that sucked was ESPN's coverage. You didn't have to overcook it. You didn't have to overcook it. The thing was cooking. But the announcers were overcooking it because they got limited talented people covering the sport because they don't really think highly of it themselves yet. Or you wouldn't have had it on cable television. I can guarantee you one thing. If you had a transsexual player on that LSU or Iowa team, that thing would have been on ABC. Okay? That thing would have been on ABC. These women are elevating it. You don't need politics. You don't need that. That was awesome to watch. Disney has no respect for women's sports. Why would you put something like that on cable television? And I'd put that on the main ABC. Why? Why would you not? Hey, I'm a big Title IX guy because of my daughter. Protect women's sports at all costs. I stand up for women's sports. Okay? My daughter is a captain of the number one ranked rugby team in the country. And they're doing something special too. They're going for a national championship. And I don't want any politician doing anything to pollute her opportunity at going and playing for a national title. Juju was spectacular. Holy cow, that girl from Southern Cal. Unbelievable. She is a great looking dude. I've never been this jacked up. I've never opened my show with women's sports unless it was the Olympics. Disgusting display of entitlement from the anti-American LSU squad who acts tough and cries when they get whooped. I don't know. They're the defending national title, and they're the defending national champions. I don't know. You know, you say a lot of things after you get beat. I wouldn't hold their feet to the fire. You have a lot of emotion when you lose to something like that. Okay, you do. You're going to say something you regret. So don't hold those girls' feet to the fire. You know what I'm saying? Just don't. He's referring to them leaving the court for the national anthem. Okay, that's right. And Kim Mulkey tried to tell why they leave because they have a pregame ritual that they do. Yeah, the national anthem thing. We just can't get away from it, can we? Politics and sports. I think the national anthem is the greatest song in the history of the United States. It's the greatest song ever made because you know why? We live in the greatest country with all its flaws. There's so many flaws in this country, but I wouldn't live anywhere else, and nor would you. Nor would you. Do you think the things that I say here, I could say anywhere in the world? I couldn't. Only in America. And by the way, some people in this country are still trying to take those things away from me and the opportunities away from me. And they try, but they can't Because there's always going to be people like the Krauses that are going to go, no, this guy has a right to say what he wants. Okay? There are people. Joe Rogan. You think Joe Rogan and Adam Carolla, you think those guys could go on lamestream radio and do a show today? Never happened. Never happened. All right. Enough of that. I was really pleased last night, and that was a great night of sports. Really a great night of sports last night. Still, CBS has us ranked third in the NFC as of today. You still have us 15th or what? Has you ranked third in the NFC. Didn't they have you ranked second last year? This time? Look at good old preseason rankings, LJ. Preseason ranking, LJ. Didn't they have you 2 last year? What happened? Shit the bed. What happened? Shit the bed. After free agency, because of that marvelous Hassan Reddick move. Holy cow. I'm going to say something here. And Xander, please inform James. We have a little bit of breaking news here about your Eagles that Big Sills found out about. Mark Farcetta is going to join us at 5:30. Okay. Haven't talked to a couple of my friends down in South Florida. Do you remember how Vic Fangio left the Dolphins? Do you remember how he left the Dolphins? Do you guys remember? You guys remember how that whole sequence played out? Like, he resigned, and then by the end of the day or the next day, he was working for the Eagles. Okay? Do you kind of remember that? Vic never wanted to be in South Florida. Very true. Relative. No, not tampering charges. And Marshall, they were mad at him, right? Hey, LJ, wasn't that like a couple days removed? He resigns and then he gets the Eagle job. Wasn't it something like that? It was within a matter of 48 hours he had the Eagle job, right? No, he wasn't canned. He wasn't canned. LJ, wasn't it like a day, right? It was like 24 hours. He had the job, right? Okay. So, talking to a few folks, Howie Roseman, how can I say this? Some folks are saying that people reached out to Vic Fangio's agent and wanted to know what the parameters would be for him to take the Eagle job as defensive coordinator of the football team. I got to be gentle here because I don't want to expose who told me. Vic's agent went to him and said, what would the parameters be for you to potentially leave? And there was already animosity between the head coach. I wouldn't say animosity, but there was a disconnect between the two in direction and culture and what Vic wanted and what Mike McDaniels wanted. And so he went back and told his agent, and his agent went back and told an intermediary to Howie. Here we go. If Vic Fangio takes the job as defensive coordinator in Philadelphia, he's got to have almost complete control of the personnel of the defense, or he won't take the job. The type of player and the makeup of the type of player that he wants to rebuild that Eagle defense with. And Howie and the owner said, okay. And Nick was good with it. So for him to leave Miami, got to remember something. He was the highest paid coordinator in the NFL defensively this last year. Why would he leave? There wasn't talk of him leaving, just redirecting and getting rid of some players. Vic was unhappy in South Florida. He didn't like living there. He's a New England guy. And he wanted to get out, but he wanted the proper landing place. So this was orchestrated. They were talking the last month of the season in his exit to go back to Philly. This was all being orchestrated behind the scenes, that he was going to leave when the time was right, and when they fired Desai, that he would take over as defensive coordinator. But the big thing is that he has final say on the defense and the personnel, and the fact that they want to play a 34, or he wanted to play a 34. Fast forward to free agency. I'm being told that Hassan Reddick had a problem with the way he was used last year. And if you remember right, what was one of the major problems that he said? Remember what he said? Hey, I do whatever the people upstairs tell me to do. I'm not happy about it, but guess what? They want me to do it. I'll do it. Do you understand that this guy, the last 2 games of the year, like the first 8 plays of the last game, they dropped him in coverage 5 times. They dropped him 7 the game before. And what was starting to really come to a head was that he wasn't playing along. What happens to players? What happens to players in Philadelphia that don't play along with management? They get moved. What happens to coaches that don't play along and play with management? They get moved or fired. At the end of the day, Vic Fangio, when he got that job, had a closed-door meeting with Hassan Reddick. And Hassan Reddick was not happy about being dropped in coverage and was less willing to do it. When Howie talked to the agent of Bryce Huff said, my guy will be willing to do whatever role you put him in. Hence, that's why they signed him. He's more willing to play along with what Vic is looking for in that defense than what Hassan Reddick was willing to do. Plus the money. So at the end of the day, Vic Fangio has final say. I would make this comment to you that Vic Fangio probably is the most powerful coach in that Eagle coaching staff right now. Now, I'm assuming that if Fangio has that type of autonomy, I'm assuming Kellen Moore does too. I'm assuming that. Now, I mean, I don't know that because I haven't done. I'm going to see if I can reach out to people that know Kellen. But the problem came down, and that's why they went and got Bryce Huff. They got basically the same guy who's willing to do what they want him to do. Whereas Reddick, who complained about being dropped in coverage even as much as last year, the writing was on the wall that he was no longer going to be here once that move went, because get this, supposedly when Patricia started dropping him, he would go into the meetings with him saying, this is ridiculous. And there was a back and forth between Patricia and Reddick that he thought he was being not used correctly in their defense. And don't you remember what Xavier Howard and what Jalen Ramsey said about Vic Fangio? He says he never really thought that Vic knew how to use the corners, and he had two of the best corner tandems in the league, and he didn't know how to use them. He wanted to use them in a different way. Well, those two players weren't willing to play along with Vic. That's why Vic wanted to have total say in Philadelphia. Vic Fangio has total say. And that's why Howie moving him, that's not a how. Would we not agree? Would we not agree that move here, LJ, everyone? Do you guys agree that Howie Roseman and Hassan Reddick move, that's not a Howie Roseman trade? How many trades have you ever seen Howie get his head kicked in like that? And here's why I think it's a bad move for the Eagles. You get no use of the trade for 3 drafts. I mean, it's not that it's a bad thing to trade him. It's that you get nothing out of it for 3 years almost. I mean, Martin, I'm not even there yet. I'm just telling you what's transpired. Okay? Hey, I'm awake. That's not a Howie Roseman move. Right? So a wide receiver wanting the ball is a diva and a linebacker not. Dude, I'm not even. This is not me, LJ. This is what happened. This is not an opinion. This is not an opinion. This is what went down. Okay? LJ, I don't know if it's leverage. Okay? Oh, okay, LJ. Oh, LJ, I'm not saying if it's leverage or not, that Reddick had the leverage. LJ, what I'm saying is that Vic had the leverage. Vic had the leverage because for Vic to take the job, get this. Think about this, guys. Everyone. LJ, thank you, man. I'm sorry about that. Listen, for him to take the job, he wanted complete say in the retooling of the defense. Okay? And management said okay for him to get the job. 24 hours, like LJ said, the guy has the job. He sits down with Reddick. Reddick goes, dropping me in coverage is dumb. That's not my skill set. He was balking at how he was going to be used. And Vic went to Howie and said, no way. This won't work. This will not work. And you know what, too, LJ? This might be why this guy's been moved a lot. Arizona and Carolina. Is because he's not willing to do what coaches are asking him to do. It's not so much a cancer. He's a really tough guy to coach. I'm not saying, hey, Chris, I'm not saying that he's not correct either. I'm just saying that he sees himself doing something and he sees his worth being what it is. There's 2 things that he's steadfast in, how much he's worth and how to use them. And 3 places, the Eagles were the best place that knew how to use them to an extent, but they always fell back sometimes in trying to drop them in coverage. This completely now makes sense to me. Okay? This completely now makes sense why they moved him, because that's not a Howie trade. One thing I'll give that guy credit on, he is good in trades. And they moved him because Fangio wanted him out. Sounds like Fangio acts like a Super Bowl coach with no effing rings. Well, again, now the pressure's on him because he's getting the personnel that he wants. There's no doubt that Devin White is a Vic Fangio. That's a request by him. And I would guarantee you that this draft coming up is going to be littered with defensive football players. There's not a chance in hell there's an offensive player taken with that 22nd pick. No way. No way. They had to bend a knee to get Vic in the building. That's what I'm being told from the people in Miami. And I know a shitload of people who cover the team and who are inside the organization. And they said to me that there's no way Vic would have left that job, highest paid defensive coordinator in the league, if he didn't have a landing spot. And the Dolphins believe the reason the Dolphins didn't file tampering charges is because they did want to part ways, because he saw Mike McDaniel's culture, something that wasn't in line with his. You got to remember, Mike McDaniels is a young guy, got a Hello Kitty backpack, and you got this 80-year-old defensive coordinator. You think those worlds are going to mesh? I don't, and it didn't. And Mike said, hey, okay. And that's how this thing, the last month of the season, the Eagles were working behind the scenes to get Fangio up there because they weren't going to be left in the dark like they were this last offseason when Gannon got the Arizona job and all of a sudden Fangio ended up down in Miami. They wanted to get ahead of this. So Vic Fangio was giving final say, and that's how he left the Dolphins. Miguel reminds me, all super chats go to the top, and I thank you. Niner fan, love the show. Love the takes. Sil's always on point on your topics. You got me hooked. Miguel, got a heck of a football team. It's rent's due in San Francisco, though. Miguel, rent's due. It's time. Your Super Bowl window, Miguel, in San Francisco, it's today. It's not tomorrow. It's not next year. It's today. You got to win. Or all those years of having Brock Purdy on that contract is not going to pay off. You've got to win. There's more pressure on you this year. And personally, I think your best chance to win a Super Bowl was 2 years ago when Reddick worked over the NFC title game, and last year. You got to win. Okay? You got to win. Got to win now. Too much talent on that team. Too much talent. Sills, that throws light on the poor return for Reddick. Completely, Bob. It makes sense now. Vic forced the trade. He did. I'm there with that, and I'll put my name on that. That Vic forced the trade. Howie gets a poor return on the trade, and when it fails, it throws all the light on Vic, who has all the power. That's how he got here. He wasn't going to come here if the personnel decisions were going to be made by Howie Roseman and the analytic guys. He was not going to take the job. He could have went anywhere else. He wanted complete autonomy. That's why you guys are not going to play a 5-front or a 4-front. All of a sudden, you're playing a 34 with no 34 linebackers. I mean, it just doesn't make sense even when you look at the depth chart. And by the way, how about Fangio having Josh Sweat behind, was it Nolan Smith? He's a 3-down defensive end is now going to play, what is it, Sam? He's going to play Sam? I still think there's a chance they may trade him on draft day now. Why would you have restructured his contract, making it more enticable for teams to look at him? I think they've made that player more enticable to be traded. I'm talking Josh Sweat. I think there's something in the works with him. I'm not sure how he and Vic like him in that scheme. Okay? I think there's a lot of shit going on right now behind the scenes, that there's things that they're working on to try to get different personnel in. Doesn't it shock you that they have 47 million? Hey, can someone do me a favor? Okay, can someone help me out here? How much money does Howie still have in cap space? Isn't he like the second or third biggest cap space team left in the NFL. This is even after free agency. I mean, so you don't get anything back in return for Reddick. You wanted the player out. You gave Vic Fangio complete autonomy in all personnel decisions. Manster, thank you, sir. In all personnel decisions, and you changed get this, they're not playing the defensive scheme that they played the last year. Why? Well, you were in a 5 front and a 4 front last year. Now you're in a 3 front. This isn't the same defense. There's 30 plus million left in the bank for Howie to do deals. There's about, LJ saying there's like 30 plus million. Jesus, really? Wow. What are you doing there? Are you waiting post June 1? Or are you waiting the day of the draft? Vic loves Bradbury. He's his own corner. Correct. This is why he doesn't want Bradbury's not going anywhere. You know why? What's the 2 things that those guys don't want to do at corner? Tackle and play man. When they're complete, what did Patricia do in that Seattle game? Do you remember what they did? They started playing man coverage. And they were getting killed by Drew Lock. They're going to play control and contain defense with those corners. Bradbury may have a Pro Bowl season because he's just going to be asked to play center field again. He's going to play 10 yards off the ball, same with Slay, and everything underneath. Control and contain. Control and contain. And it's going to be the offense's responsibility. And this is why Barkley was signed, I'm assuming, is that they can get back to running the ball and get back to those 10 to 13 play drives to eat up the time of possession like they did in 22. Because they were the king of possession in 22. That's the one thing that they were great at. 11 play drives, 14 play drives. Shit, by the time the team got the ball, there was 4 minutes left in the first quarter. How do you think Jalen Carter will be in this scheme? Boy, I tell you what, you're asking a lot of the kid to set the edge when he's an interior player. You're moving him out a little bit more, Trey. And that's a lot more room to cover. You understand what I'm saying? When you put a guy in a 3 technique or in a 5 technique and he's off the outside shade of the offensive tackle, you got to pray that those guys at the outside linebackers, the Will and Sam, are pretty good tacklers. Because get this, if he can't set the edge, what happens if you have poor tacklers on the perimeter? They're going to run off the perimeter on you, and they're going to run off the edge on you, not up the middle. And and get this, that means Jordan Davis. You need another nose tackle in there. And I'm not saying you need another nose tackle to back him up. You need a big body in there. Because I don't trust him to play 17 games. So Vic's system, this is starting to make more sense to me now. I didn't think assistant coach or I didn't think a head coach had any say whatsoever. This is the coach that has the most say since Shane Steichen. This coach has more say or as much say as Shane Steichen does on defense. Are you talking the kid from Utah? That kid Noah Ellis? That's Luther Ellis's kid. He's a good football player too. I put him on a couple All-American teams. I think that kid is, I think he went to school at University of Utah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so again, there's no doubt that they pivoted here. They pivoted. An assistant coach has a ton of say. Bleed Green says 5 to 7 wins. Please don't talk about Hurts today. Not today. Taylor. Okay. Smitty will get extended. It's May 2nd. You can't let that guy walk. If I'm him, I don't want to get an extension. I wouldn't sign it. I'm not signing a contract extension. Okay? And if they pick the 5th-year option up, that's on them. But extension, I'm not signing an extension. No, thank you. I have no interest. So if I sign an extension now, if I'm Devontae Smith, I'm probably shortchanging myself $5 million per year over the next 3. That's $15 to $20 million. Not a chance I'm signing that. And no agent would have him do that. Not happening. No, thank you. I have no interest. You could pick the $18 million option up. Sure. Go ahead. That's fine. You're entitled to that because that's what the contract reads. But a contract extension before Justin Jefferson signs a contract or before that CeeDee Lamb signs one, why would I? Why? Because what? You're the Eagles? That has nothing to do with my money. Who you are has nothing to do with anything. I'm not signing that. I have no interest in it. Because Devontae Smith could get number 1 money anywhere in the National Football League. It doesn't have to be in Philly. And everyone knows that. Okay, so the league knows what kind of talent he is. He's got the leverage here with this. You know why he's got the leverage? Because the wide receiver market is going up massively each and every single year when it comes to paying the quarterbacks and the wideouts. It'd be a stupid move for him to do that. Okay? And by the way, I'm not saying it's animosity between Philly and Howie and Devontae, but you got to be smart. This is why this makes complete sense now. Howie didn't get taken to the cleaners. Howie did this because he was ordered to do this by ownership. Because part of the deal to get Vic in the building, this is good faith on what Roseman did. Hey, we didn't really get anything back in return that can help our team this year or next year. Reddick's a good player, but we're not going to have a player in the locker room that's not going to be coachable. And I'm not saying Reddick is a bad player, bad attitude. I'm just saying I don't fault him for doing this. Don't put me in a position of failure. I think every player has – you know what's crazy? I don't think both sides are wrong here. If a coach told me, well, look, if I had to do it all over again, Dan, I want you to play nose. I'm not a nose guard. So you want me to get this. This is what happened to and this is where John McMullen's comments about a diminishing player are way over the top. This is not true. They were putting him in a position of failure. First with his cast on his hand, and then when they were dropping him, go take a look at the last 2 games. The last game, the first 10 plays, they dropped him in coverage 7 times. A guy with 27 sacks, you're dropping in coverage? Why? Why? Because he wouldn't play along. They were setting him up. They knew the season was over. This is a Howie move. Like he set Doug up. And when Vic got the job, they had their powwow. And Vic came away not feeling that he would be coachable and doing the things he needed him to do. What was that guy's name? LJ, what's that guy's name that played down in Miami that was with him last year? Van Krinkle? What was his name? That played with Vic, who stood up, put his hand in the dirt, dropped in coverage. They see more Bryce Huff doing that stuff than they see Reddick, because Reddick is not willing. Van Ginkel. That is what they're looking for from Bryce Huff. That's what they want with Bryce Huff. They want that type of player. You notice the kid got the same money that Bryce Huff got. That's why when Fangio was looking, he couldn't get Van Ginkel. So you know what he did? He got Bryce Huff. He's a younger player, and the agent said he'll play any role you need. And that's why the Eagles signed him. And the relationship that Howie has with Joe Douglas, You don't really believe that Howie Roseman was going to make a poor deal with Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas took advantage of the fact that he kind of had to know that Vic had final say here, that this wasn't a Howie doesn't get taken advantage of in trades. That's one thing I'll give him. He doesn't get taken advantage of. Not to this extent. And by the way, in 3 years, if it's a second rounder, 3 years from now, that's a good move. And I don't mean 3 years, I mean 3 drafts from now. That's a long time away to collect on a debt that you need assets now. It just none of it made sense. Yesterday, me and Gary Cobb were going like this. This doesn't, and now it makes sense. You know, I had to do some digging, so I called up Armando Salguero, who covers the Dolphins, and he put me in touch with somebody inside the organization that we both know. Here, I'll give you a hint. He's a former baseball guy who worked with the Padres. And I met him years ago. And he took over from Mike D. And we were talking, and it's like, yeah, we feel that Vic was doing this prior to the season ending. And this thing was orchestrated because he resigns. 24 hours later, he gets the job. He gets up there, and right before free agency, he talks with Reddick. Reddick's people come out with a demand. And get this, here's something else to think about. Now you know why the demand from the agent came out after the meeting. We want a new contract. It pushed their hand. The agent pushed this after the meeting. I think Laurie and Howie respect Vic a lot to give him control of the defense. Yeah, well, got to remember, Steve, the year previous, they'd gone all the way to the Super Bowl with his fundamentals. Okay? They had gone all the way to the Super Bowl. This just totally makes more sense now. It just completely makes sense. Howie didn't get taken advantage of. Howie was a soldier here. And to me, I think it's a sign of good faith between him and Vic. Vic, you want him out. Okay. Who do we replace him with? The kid with New York. Hey, can I say something to you? Niner all day. How about the relationship with Robert Saleh and Vic Fangio? Where do you think those guys met? They were at the Niners. They all met in San Francisco. Okay? Hooters? Yeah. Yeah. Vic knows Robert Saleh very well. Everything in Philly is a conspiracy, if you ask Sills. It's not a conspiracy, dude. This is what happened. This is not a conspiracy. Doesn't this make more sense? I mean, don't you remember Hassan Reddick last year when he was interviewed at his locker? When he basically came out and said, hey, I do what they tell me to do upstairs. They want me to drop in coverage. I drop in coverage. Don't you? Those were his exact words. And what did he say? I wasn't happy with it. I didn't say that. Doesn't this make more sense? Sure, whatever, guy. No, okay. Well, then in your world, fitness, Howie got his ass beat in a trade. It doesn't work for 3 years. Congratulations to him. If Reddick was too diva to do what the coaches asked him, then good riddance. LJ, but again, do you think it was in the best interest of dropping Hassan Reddick? Do you think it was in the best interest to drop Hassan Reddick in a defensive scheme that they had last year and not have him rush the passer? And you think that him saying that that's a bad idea, you think that's in the best interest of the team or the worst interest of the team? Wouldn't you want to put him in a position to succeed? Instead, you're dropping him in a position of failure. Why would you want that? When the player knows he's not good at doing that, you think that's the smart thing to do? Is to just go ahead with it, put bad film on tape, so people can look at you like John McMullen and say you have diminishing skills because you're put in a position of failure, because you got bad tape on the film. You really think that's in the best interest? You're a professional ball player? So again, I'm asking you, you think putting Hassan Reddick, LJ thinks putting Reddick in coverage because the coaches told him to. You have already said that they were an coaching staff. You think that's in the best interest? I wish Hurts had more Hassan Reddick in him, and maybe he'd have a better season. Can Vic teach Huff to learn how to stop the run? I agree with you. So get this. LJ thinks it's bad that Hassan Reddick didn't like to be dropped in coverage because he should do it anyway, even though it's a worse idea and hurts your defense. He still wants you to do that. That doesn't make sense. Why would you want a player to do something he's not capable of doing? And yet the inept coaching staff that you call, all of you in here, said that they had one of the worst coaching staff in Eagle history. You want the player to go along with it and die on the vine. Really? So you want him to go down with the coach? I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. No. No wonder Hurts isn't a leader. There, I broke my vow. No wonder he's not a leader. He goes along to get along. I want leaders on my team. I'll tell you something. You know what Andy Reid said in that Super Bowl about Mahomes? Oh, yeah, he has all the autonomy to change a play anytime he wants. He doesn't like something, he'll change it up right in the middle of the sequence and of the plays, and he'll just change it. So if he doesn't like something he sees, he changes it. But you want him to go down with the ship and throw to a shitty. All Super Chats go to the top. Thank you, guys. This is cool. It's crazy because Vic had the best season of his career year with Vic as a consultant. Reddick, right. Sills, Fangio has already made excuses. Scheme change, financial investment on D. He also works on the side of the ball that Howie doesn't value. I believe Vic might get more rope than anyone else. Do you see the Jets draft trade? Trading down? Boy, I see them taking that kid Bowers where they're sitting right now to try to get another shiny toy for Aaron Rodgers. Okay. The Eagles are the class of the NFC. Right. I'm a liar. 1-7 was a lie. Remember something, folks. A-Track wants you to erase that like it never happened. And the linebacking core of Nolan Smith, Devin White, Nakobe Dean, and Bryce Huff are the worst run-defending linebacking core in a 34 in the National Football League. You have the worst 4 starting linebackers versus the run in the league. That's not an opinion. Their production over the last 4 years dictates that. They have the worst. Your safety position kind of was upgraded. And the last 8 games of the year, your defensive front gave up 136 yards of rushing. You gave up the most first downs on passing downs, first and third, than any team in the league. I don't know what to say. How you're the class of the NFC with one of the worst defenses in the National Football League. That's not an opinion. Your production proved it. Okay? And by the way, again, you have an opinion. Your defense last year showed you that opinion's not valid. A-Track doesn't have a valid opinion when the team shit the bed the last 8 weeks. That's fact. He's giving you an opinion. Just like 10-1 doesn't matter. 1-6 doesn't matter. Stop saying 1-7. It's 1-6. Counting the playoffs? Oh. 10-1 didn't matter. You got worse as the year went on. You were never that team. You got out to a nice start, and then reality caught up. Bad coaching, bad play. Not an opinion. That's how it imploded. Did you see something different? Yeah, no. Crowley, A-Track talking about making the playoffs. They played 1 extra week than the Giants. Congratulations, I guess. Okay, I guess. You think Tracy, see this guy, Steve? Okay, he thinks Tracy Rocker's the reason. Tracy Rocker is now coaching the NFL. Got one in a week. He got a job in a week. And then you hired my friend. So don't worry, kid. I've already talked to your guy. And yet, by the way, Clint, you're welcome for wearing my jersey at UM. I see Douglas doing something with Howie in the draft. Moving up? I would think more Andrew Berry that he does something with. Okay? I think something more with Berry. Douglas going to fleece us again. That's what Xander says. Eagles made the playoffs and got rocked. Taylor, don't tell the folks that. They'll tell you it didn't happen. A-Track will tell you that didn't happen. We're 10-1. Okay? They're 10-1 or some shit. Whatever. He'll try to make you believe that they're the class of the NFL when they got their shit kicked in by everyone. And I don't know. So it now makes sense. Marley goes like this. I hope our offense doesn't play arrogant ball. That's a great comment. That's a great comment. Because that goes down the line, Marley, of what Keith Byers said. Arrogant football is throwing the ball just to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. That's not championship football. And just like Keith said, from Thanksgiving on, you didn't play championship football. You were playing selfish football. And that's your number. Get this. Explain this one to me. Explain this one to me. What's this guy say again? Eagles made the playoffs. It doesn't matter. Only one team wins. So explain this to me then, A-Track. How can everybody in your offense have a career year and you go 1-6? And your offense can't score 10 points in a playoff game. And everyone in the offensive huddle, skill-wise, had a career year, and you went 1-6. How does that happen? Because it's selfish ball. You didn't play championship ball. That's the class of the NFL. You can't play any better. Do you understand that? Your offense can't play any better. One guy had 1,500 yards. The other guy had 1,100 yards receiving. You had a back that was a 1,000-yard rusher and was a Pro Bowler. You had a quarterback that eventually was named to the Pro Bowl. You had 3 guys in the O-line that were named Pro Bowl. And yet, you went 1-6. Explain that to me. When is the last time we had a losing season? DRC last year. Last year was a losing season. Or are you going to call it something else? Tell me, what would you call it? That's not true, Sills. Last year was a losing season. Was it not? A good season? Really? Our first and second rounder to the Jets for Brock, yes or no? Damn. Stop floating that guy out there, man. I love that pick. I really do. I think he's my last year, Devin Witherspoon was my favorite. Okay. The year before that was the corner that's in Kansas City now. By the way, both are Pro Bowlers. Let's see. In rookie years. Sorry. Should listen more to Sills. I think Brock Powers is the best player in the draft. And he's at a position that's going to be the most impactful. Hamilton, yeah, remember we were all like, yeah, I think I didn't like him because he was at Notre Dame. Slagger. Because a lot of Notre Dame guys on defense don't really pan out. Justin Tucks and guys like that. But there's very few guys from Notre Dame that actually pan out, and he did. I think, hey, Slagger, he's actually he's a Notre Dame guy, right? We don't need Brock. No. Okay. You're right. Because then Jalen has even less excuses. Jesus Christ, you got 7 Pro Bowlers in your offense. And you went 1-6. My God. What else does a guy need? Seriously, who do you want next? Get Brady out of retirement too? I mean, what do you want to do? Get Randy Moss out of retirement? My God, what else does he need? A golf cart to go back and forth from NovaCare to what does he need? A limo driver? Big Dom to pick him up? Jesus Christ, how much are you going to cater to this guy? Go earn something. Hurts hasn't earned a damn thing in his life. He's been given it in Philadelphia. It's like bending over for the guy. Go earn something. He sure didn't earn my respect, 1-6. That's for damn sure. Pouting on the sidelines, moaning and crying. Come on, man. Unbecoming. Let's see here. Get this. Sills, explain Josh Allen and Lamar losing all the time. They don't lose all the time. They lose to Mahomes and Burrow. You lose to Tommy DeVito and Baker Mayfield. I don't know. And Brock Purdy. That's who you lose to. It's not an excuse. You just asked me. It's like saying, get this. It's funny. It's like saying this. Who'd you get beat by? I got beat by Tiger Woods at the Masters. No. Well, who'd you get beat by? Well, I got beat by Michael Jordan in the finals. All right. Who'd you get beat by? Baker Mayfield. Okay. A little different. Okay? A little different. Who'd you get beat by? I got beat by Tiger at the Masters on the 17th tee box. I put one in the trees, and this guy hit it 3 feet. What happened in the NBA Finals? Jordan hit the bucket at the end in Game 6. Oh, That shit happens. I mean, it's Jordan. Who'd you lose to? Baker Mayfield and Tommy DeVito. Oh. Okay, that might be a little different. Okay? Dude, that was last season. We don't care. I'm talking about right now, kid. I'm talking about Vic Fangio is your head coach. Okay? Sil's honest question. What does someone need to do to earn your respect? Hurts played at a good level and frustrated is normal. A.J. Brown, not Owens, also played well. That's not good enough for you? Yeah, because you're in a team sport, guy. You're not in tennis or playing golf or a bowler. And to me, what makes someone great is someone that's there every single year. No ups, no downs. Players can count on when the things are going great. And to me, those are the great ones. Those are ones that you can count on. You guys may not like Kirk Cousins. 4,700 yards, 34 touchdowns, 10 picks. If Jalen Hurts does that in his career, he'll be lucky. But that's every year with that guy. And do I think Kirk Cousins is a superstar quarterback? No. He's like the floor. That guy Hurts will never touch any of the numbers that Cousins puts up. By the way, Washington is never. By the way, once again, one playoff win for Kirk Cousins. I never said he played in good organizations like Minnesota and Washington. You know what? Every time you use that one playoff thing, I'm going to throw this at you. Well, Brock Purdy's 5-2 in the playoffs. He's better than Hurts. Garoppolo has a better win percentage in the playoffs than Jalen. Is he better? You really want to go there? Joe Flacco has a better postseason percentage in wins than Jalen Hurts. You want to go there? And are you under some sort of thing that you think that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Dan Marino because Marino's 7-9 in the postseason? You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. And get this, that's the only thing you have for Jalen is that his teams have been good. Not so much him. 2 of the 3 years, he's been okay. Do your job. I don't see any consistency in his career so far. None. How many people would think Jalen Hurts has a consistent career? I don't. First year is different. Second year is different. Third year is different. Those are 3 different guys. He's not done one thing consistently from year to year. He hasn't put 2 of the same years together. Okay? He hasn't. That, to me, is what's – and by the way, I see people saying, again, the hate thing. I don't give a shit about him from a can of paint. Personally, I could care less. Have no interest in him as a person. I have no interest in him as a man. I'm talking as a football player. That's the difference between me and you. I don't fall in love with these guys. I could care less. Are you good? Are you not? Are you average? Do you help my team? Do you not help my team? And when you guys can start acting like Howie Roseman and how he sees his players, you'll be better off too. Too many of you fall in love with you. I don't give a shit about it. Brandon Graham? Hey, thank you very much for your service. Did you get paid? Yes. See you later. By the way, why didn't you take that extra $5 million you gave Brandon Graham and give it to Reddick? But you brought that old fogey back. Why'd you bring him back? Why didn't you give that extra $5 million to Reddick? What's? It's because Vic didn't want him. I get it now. Okay? I get it now. Because Vic didn't want him. Okay? Yeah, how he brought him back, because probably Xander said the right thing. You know, Sills, do you think you can find anybody that can help with depth? Yeah, but if I start to see that guy playing a lot more reps, there's problems. Okay? Reddick was out regardless. Agreed, Joe. Joe, he was. He was out. Okay? Sills, that's over the line. I don't want to act like Howie. Well, I'm sorry, but that's how the NFL ownership look at players. They don't give a shit about you. They never will, and they never want to. They look at you as cattle, and that's how it always will be. You're the only ones that fall in love with these guys. You're the ones that buy jerseys. You're the ones that have passion for the players. Ownership doesn't. They'll move off of you as fast as a Carson Wentz second. They'll move off of you as fast as a Devin White second, even after you give them money. And like you said, Denny brings a great point up. And when you bring new coordinators in, they have no problem moving off of people. Most of the time, they clean house like that. And again, once again, your head coach did the right thing. He took a knee so that he could keep his job. Doug wouldn't take a knee. That's how this whole thing has really transpired. If Reddick won Super Bowl against Kansas City, it'd still be here, Sills. Yeah. I don't know, man. Arthur, I think you could have won the Super Bowl, and if you still would have had a shitty 23 defensive effort with that 1-6, I still think there'd been changes. I still think there would have been changes. Okay? I still think there would have been changes. Hurts gotten better every year till last year. His overthinking and coaching digressed him. He'll bounce back in 24. I sure hope so. You'll need him. You'll need him to. And by the way, if Jalen Hurts doesn't bounce back, they'll start the process of moving him out too. Like they did Carson Wentz. Just like that. They will. You know why? Because they've done it before. You see, they got a track record of moving off of Super Bowl coaches and MVPs. They moved off an MVP runner-up in Wentz. They moved off a Super Bowl coach. They got a track record of doing this. And questioning LJ's favorite coach, Nick Sirianni, last year, who went in for an interview to save his job. This is not an opinion. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. Hurts only been in the league 3 years. Hurts has been in the league 4 years. He's been a starter for 3. Pressure on him. He has weapons everywhere. He had weapons everywhere last year. You'll better not make a single excuse this year. If he's asking it. Oh, they will. It'll be something to do with the coaching. Kellen Moore, what? No, here will be the excuses. Kellen Moore sucked. He wasn't the right guy. They needed an RPO coordinator. A.J. Brown is a diva. Barkley wasn't who they thought he was. It'll be all that shit. It's not Jalen. Jalen's had more excuses than any quarterback who had a shitty year last year than anybody I've ever seen. Coach sucked. Scheme sucked. The play design sucked. Everything sucked but him. And the guy made $50 million, which is crazy. You hold people accountable that make the most money. Those are the first people out the door. Or let me guess. You want to fire the doorman. And that's what the Eagles did. The Eagles fired the doorman because they didn't want to fire the main event. Hurts. Not yet. That's coming. That's coming. That's next. Hurts is next. Fire the coaches. Nick will be fired. Then it's Hurts. Same thing that happened to Wentz. Head coach went. Wentz went. There we go. Again, they've got a track record of behavior. Dan, now that you know Vic is controlling the D, what do you think they take at 22? Oh, edge rusher. Absolutely. There's no doubt they're taking edge there, in my opinion. Absolutely. Okay? No doubt about it. They will do that. You know what's funny, Steve? Jalen Hurts MVP says, isn't it funny Carson Wentz finished second in the most valuable player award? Wonder how much that award is valid when Wentz was second. By the way, congratulations to Carson Wentz going to Kansas City. Best move that guy could make. If Andy Reid can't fix him, no one can. And then you play with Mahomes, and you get to see how a pro acts. I think this is the best move that you could have had for Carson Wentz. I didn't know he was 32 already. Carson Wentz has had 9 years in the league already. He's helped the team win home field advantage, an NFC championship, and finish second and runner-up in the MVP in his 9 years. Owns a single-season passing record in Philly for touchdowns and yardage. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. I mean, 9 years. I sure hope Jalen Hurts has that career. Well, Wentz isn't good now. Oh, I know. I know. I know. Can you believe this? Wentz might have 2 rings. Might have 2 championship rings and a Burt Bell MVP award. Oh, like Jalen, right? Right? I wonder how many people in Philly are happy that he's gone to Andy. Are you happy that Carson Wentz is in Philly or in Kansas City with Andy? Are you? Senor goes 2 rings and not even playing both. Yeah. Right. Right. Absolutely. That's part of the truth, too. It sure is. Would you rather have a ring? Hey, get this. Would you rather have Jalen Hurts' 2022 season or Carson Wentz's 17 season? I'll take Carson Wentz's 17 season over Jalen Hurts' 22 year. Why? Helped you get home field and win an NFC championship. And I finished second in the MVP. And I got a Super Bowl ring. Your guy lost the game. But he started. Oh, I know. He don't play Mahomes. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Mahomes has the ring. I know. I know. Okay? Yeah, I know. Okay? I know. Sadly, I think Wentz will win a Super Bowl with the Chiefs before the Eagles win one. Oh, no. That I don't want to hear. I'd rather have a new GM and an owner. Oh. Yeah, of course. Look at Dick Track. He says the city of Philly burned his jersey. Carson Wentz sucks. Well, at least he's got a Super Bowl ring. It was on the team that won the Super Bowl. That you'll never take away from him. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey, Dick Track, that will never, ever be taken from Carson Wentz. You can burn his jersey all you want. But always remember, Dick Track, that guy's got a ring. Hey, oh, Always remember, Sills would want to be Sills. Oh, come on, man. That ain't right, man. Come on, Dick Track. It's all good, man. Don't get your panties in a bind. It's all good, Dick Track. It's okay, Bubba. No, don't get. Hey. Sills, you mean the Super Bowl that BB gave the Eagles by sabotaging the Pats? Malcolm Butler. Holy cow. Oh. I'm not. Hey, Ty Bank goes, I'm obsessed with Jalen Hurts. No, I'm obsessed with good quarterbacks, not bad ones. You got to understand, I'm obsessed with guys that are good. Okay? Like, I'm more obsessed with Dick Track than I am Jalen Hurts. Are you crazy? Dick Track probably brings some of the best takes there is. Wouldn't have it any other way, Dick Track. I got another topic. I think I'm going to have to towel off and take a break here. Every time Sills brings up Hurts, whatever, guy. Sills, that's why if you invest in building a staff that can help players play above their skill level, you can develop sustained success, and you can avoid roller coasters of building the new scheme and probably the roster too, Bob. Absolutely. Absolutely. No question about it. Hey, Dick Track, don't get too upset. It's okay, man. You know, it's all right. You know, I have these names for people, man. Nick Foles, man. Would you guys sign him as your number 3? I don't want this guy, Francis Scott Key. I don't want Francis Scott McKee as my backup quarterback. This guy looks like he is a Ichabod Crane kind of lurch-looking dude. I don't need him, man. He's got no feet, and he's got cement shoes for cleats. I don't need Ichabod Crane. How about bringing in a guy like Nick Foles? Or would that be too much for – oh, wait, we can't do that because that's one of the reasons they didn't bring in Justin Fields, because they didn't want to have Jalen have to start wearing Depends and start shitting himself. Yeah, no, can't do that because the fans be in the stands screaming Nick Foles' name. We can't have that. But he'd be great for Jalen to go over to and talk to a veteran guy. And so that you could have an experienced guy on the sides there. But we can't do that because we don't want him to get all nervous and such. We can't have that, man. Right? Kenny Pickett, baby. Xander likes dudes with small hands because things look bigger with him. That's twice, man. I don't think there'll be a third time. Holy cow. Yeah, Tanner McKee be playing for a team the Rock owns near you soon. Tanner McKee, please. Yeah, we started the show off with the Cowboy guy. What was his name? John Holmes? Mickey Holmes? Mike Holmes? Mark Holmes? I got to take a time out. I got another topic to hit on here. And this is going to be a simple one. I actually stole this topic. I actually stole this thing. Okay? I did. I actually stole this. Do me a favor. Hit the like button. Mark Farcetta is going to join us at 5:30. Okay? All super chats go to the top. Don't forget. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans. We're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz and Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sills! Booze, did you drop a super chat up there on me when I was in a timeout here? Only reason I'm gonna let you get away with it is you're a paisan. If there was a super chat with Booza, thank you. I appreciate it. All good, brother. Oh, wait a minute. No, you're good. I was flashing comments. I like it. Look at that, man. By the way, comments on this program, unlike other places, have a value. See those other places? They don't. This is the most watched show in Philly on all platforms. And most importantly, it's the most watched show at the NovaCare Center. Right? Hey. What's that guy's name? Who's that dude's name? What's that guy's name? What's that guy's name, man? I forget the PR guy's name. I forget his name, man. Yeah. He makes us all know that it's the most watched show. You know why? Well, no, I'm we're gonna go there. I don't want to go too crazy there. Yeah. Wait, let me go back to this here before I get into the other topic. We didn't even get into the other topic here. Okay, this chat is goat. Hey, Corey, thank you. By the way, please hit the like button. We appreciate you guys being here very much. Hey, what happened to Dick Train? Hey, come on, dude. Don't get upset. You can't be that upset. You can't. Don't be upset. You give me shit. Come on now. No comment, Chuck. All I know is there's a dude over there, BL. BL tells us weekly we're the most watched show. Xander reminds me. Damn, no. Really, the Dick Train run? Come on, man. What happened to you Philly guys? I thought you had a backbone. Come on, man. I'm not doing it. I don't know why I did that. I embarrassed them? Come on. How could that possibly be? Of all the things that Dick Train has said, how could he ever be embarrassed? He should be embarrassed by some of his takes. Not for me calling him Dick Train. Come on, man. Hey, watch this. I'm sorry? Oh, man. Hey, you want to hear sorry? Okay. Zesty Sills. Sounds like crusty. No, that's not good. I don't like it. I don't like it. Wow, he got his feelings hurt. Man. The Eagles will here we go. The Eagles will dominate the NFC. Dan Sileo, you're a freaking liar. I will be going to Hooters to embarrass you next season. Will you? I'll have a chair right next to me, Dick Train. Yes, sir. And then me and you can chop it up. Yes, sir. By the way, we don't run. Okay? These colors don't run. I don't. Right? That's the one thing you'll get. Big Sills and Dick Train at Hooters. Doing. Always love your takes, but I still can't get over your problem with. Dude, he's old. Aren't you tired of old guys in the building? You're telling me you wouldn't take Gardner Johnson? I would. I would take him. Come on, man. How you doing? It's all good here. All right, hang on. I got to read you something. Can you believe? Hey, I'm going to play something here. Okay, I'm going to play something here. And I'm going to pretend that I'm the public address announcer at Lincoln Financial. Watch this one, Xander. And now, you're starting linebacker for your Birds. Starting at will linebacker. The man, the myth, the legend, the lowest rated linebacker against the run in pro football in the last 4 years. Bryce. I can't stop the run. Huff, huff, huff. Still saying, he ain't coming to Hooters. Oh, yeah, I will be. Don't you worry about it, Junior. Starting for your Birds. At left inside linebacker, the one and only, the man with a chemical engineer and also a man who will be working at NASA on the jet propulsion system, the man who is one of the smartest men on the planet who can't play, N'Kobe, never be seen Dean. And right inside linebacker, the man from LSU. I know you're, I know you are. 8-track ain't. I got it. There you go, Q. The man who was fired by Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers, but the man who will rejuvenate his career in the land of brotherly love, our very own Devin Betty White. And, of course, without further ado, the starting Sam linebacker, the man we haven't seen, Nolan Casper the Ghost Smith. Now you see him, now you don't. There is your starting 4 linebackers for Vic Fangio's 2024 Philadelphia Eagles. Bryce Huff, N'Kobe Dean, Devin White, and Nolan Smith have to be the worst starting linebackers against the run in the league. In the league. Wait till, hey, watch this. What do you think what do you think Deshaun Watson will do to those 4 guys? You want to see something? You want to see the dumbest comments on the planet? Watch this one. What do you think that Cleveland Brown offense is going to do to those 4 guys? What do you think Deshaun and Mari Cooper and Judy and Nick Chubb? Okay? Still's roasting that Pro Bowl defense. Everyone keeps saying we got 900 yards, nothing. Get this. Oh, everyone is going to destroy us. Everyone did last year. You were last in pass defense. Yeah. 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 I mean, Drew Lock torched you. Kyler Murray with no receivers torched you. The Jaku, the tight end for the Browns, who is covering him? Bryce Huff? Nolan, is it Sweat or Sweet? Or Smith? Smith, Nolan Smith. Your 31st draft choice. I can't remember his name. Okay? Jesus Hills, many times you are going to use that narrative. Oh, yeah. Well, what are you talking about? Those are your 4 backers. You've not done nothing, and it's April 2nd, May, June. You got 2 months. 2 months to set your 90-man. Camp is in July. 3 months from now, training camp starts. 3 months. Training camp starts. 90 days. 3 months. You think that thing is like months out? You got 3 months to training camp. Three months to July. Plenty of time. It's April. You better set that roster by June 1. Come on, girls. You better set that roster. Come on, girls. Who's Burks? Who's Burks? Is that the Orenthal kid you got from the Niners? Okay. A-Track Dan Sills will be looking like an idiot once the season starts. Well, I wasn't last year. I was dead on nails. But everything. Jump on a bandwagon. You're never winning a Super Bowl with that quarterback. I don't have to worry about that. You're never winning a Super Bowl with that style of play that he's playing right now. You might if he played like 22. But with what he's doing now, never happened. Never. He's a glorified Tyrod Taylor. Teddy Bridgewater kind of shit. I mean, before Teddy Bridgewater had an injury, he was a Pro Bowler. I mean, I don't know. Now, if you went back to 22, we're talking different conversation. But the further you move away from 22, the less chances that guy ever wins again. Played out last year. Doesn't it show you that when they tried to make him a pocket passer, they lost more games than what they did the previous year? Shouldn't that play into any conversations at all? Well, the coordinator sucked, and the offense sucked, and the play calling, and the designs of the receivers, and everything sucked but him. I got it. Well, you don't have any excuses now. I can't wait to see what French Fry looks like this year. I don't have any expectations for him. You keep making that guy throw the ball, and he has more attempts than he did a year ago, that thing won't win 7 games. He's not qualified as a pocket passer to win. Once you take the RPO away, he's not good enough. Now, again, you go back to 22, he is good enough. When you take the element of the dangerous part of his game away from him, he's not dangerous. He's just good, not great. The results of your football team dictated that last year. That's not an opinion. Look at his play. Bad coaching. Oh, I know. Bad play. Bad play. That leads me to this topic. Okay, let's do this. Okay? Let's do this. How many people believe that this Eagle team right now, this roster is better than last year's roster? This time last year, it's better now. Oh, by the way, I stole this. I stole this topic from WIP. Chris says they're better now. I asked you right now, Arthur, is this roster this time from a year ago, right now, April 2nd, 2023, was the 2023 roster better, or is this 2024 roster right now better? Not by much. Philly, usually I hate that answer. Same? Here's Xander. I would say no, it's worse. You lost your best offensive player in Kelsey and best defensive player in Reddick. It's worse. And you created more question marks with signings of Huff and Barkley, because you really don't know. Those are assumptions. They're going to be better. Kelsey was a certainty. Reddick was a certainty. 4 straight years of double-digit sacks. Those are certainty players. Those are guys you don't go, well, let's see what happens. Kelsey's a certainty. Cox, that's right. And you lost your best defensive tackle from last year, Fletcher Cox. Very good. You guys are right. And you lost Fletcher. Yes, we are better. We made moves in free agency as opposed to last year when we played the comp pick game. I mean, where have you improved in defense? Gardner Johnson? Okay. I'll say that. You lost your best defensive football player. You signed a backup. And you lost Fletcher Cox. And you lost Jason Kelsey. And you're better this year. And you lost 2 captains. People think adding Barkley makes offense better. Not true. We lost Kelsey. That's putting an addition on your house, but your foundation is cracked. Yeah. You're building the apartment from the apartment top and the roof down instead of from the cement floor and the ground up. Right. When you build a football team, you build it from the inside out, not from outside in. Okay. You guys lost Jason Kelsey. Adding Barkley doesn't cover that. It doesn't cover it. What 49er players have been lost? Their core guys are gone? Like who? What core guys are gone in San Francisco? I must have missed that. Who's gone? Eric Armstead? They wanted him out. They'll probably draft interior. In my opinion, if the Eagles don't get Chop Robinson, I think they sign him. The 49ers. That's what John Lynch says. They love the player. Ayuk might be traded. Well, as of April 2nd, he's not. They haven't lost anything. The Bills? Well, see, the Bills are going to do the same thing that the Chiefs do. They don't need to really have – doesn't really matter who the Jimmies and Joes are there. As long as they got that quarterback, just like in Kansas City. Really doesn't matter if they have Snead or not. Doesn't matter. Because they'll beat you guys with just like beat you and San Francisco. They'll beat you with guys like Juju Smith-Schuster. And they'll beat people with Hollywood Brown. And look at what Arthur says. We got experienced coordinators. They're still new, dude. I don't care what you say. They've never worked with this personnel before. You think they're magically just going to walk in? And get this. Arthur doesn't, once again, he's off base. You brought in a 34 defensive coordinator, and you don't have 34 personnel. How do you think that meshes right away? How do you think that message lands when you're not you hired a defensive coach? You hired a defensive coach. Think about this. Okay? You hired a defensive coach that you don't have the personnel to fit his scheme. Whatever, dude. Doesn't work that way. What if we go O-line first round, Big Sills? It'd be the safest way to go. And there's a lot of good players there. You'd get a good player. See, to me, again, AJ, I don't really think it's about who you draft. I think it's about finding really the players that give you the best chance of not failing. And taking a risk like these quarterbacks. Can I say this to you? I watched that Drake May pro day. He's terrible. Drake May is terrible. Sills, who's more valuable, Lane or Kelsey? Kelsey by far. He sets the line protection. He's a leader. I've never seen a center get on multiple levels before, going into not only just against the front four, gets into the secondary, he gets to the linebackers. You don't pull centers. Lane's job is not very difficult. Now the NFL has changed a lot. It's changed a lot because they move around these pass rushers, unlike back in the past where you would put them on the blind side and the left tackle. But to me, Lane will always be looked at as a right tackle, which means this. He'll never be considered the best tackle in the sport. Ever. Because the highest paid guys are the left tackle. And that's the most coveted position. That's the highest paid position, is the left tackle position. It's why Trent Williams makes the most. It's why the guy in Baltimore makes a killing. It's why the guy in Los Angeles makes a killing. Those guys all make huge money because they're left tackles. Finding a left tackle. Now, again, I think that's changing because of the way they move these edge rushers around. And I think that Lane, see, it's unfortunate, but Lane, I would have put Mulata on the right side. And I would have put Lane on the left. Now, they may think that Mulata is a better athlete, and I happen to think he is too. I think Mulata is a better athlete than Lane Johnson. And I happen to think Lane's a better tackle. Okay? But Mulata could easily be your most talented athlete on your roster right now. This guy didn't know how to put a mouthpiece, or this guy didn't know how to put a helmet on 5 years ago. And now he's one of the highest paid and graded offensive tackles left in the NFL. Is insane. I couldn't imagine what Eagle fans would say if Dallas went 1-6 and Dallas fans made the type of excuses the Eagle fans have made. 304? Of course. They call you guys chokers all the time. And when they see the way that they melted down, they won't put themselves in that position because they don't want to. But yet, remember something. The Cowboys, hey, when's your last 4-win season? Was it the year Dak got hurt? At least you had an excuse. The one thing I'll say about the Cowboys don't have these gigantic swings and misses like this when it comes to seasons and constantly rebuilding, and there's so much movement. The Eagles have so much movement because you know why? They don't have any benchmark players on defense. They're still going to go next year. They're going to redo the same thing. There's no benchmark players. They'll replace White. They'll replace Dean. They'll replace possibly Josh Sweat. They'll replace the two corners. And you're back at it again. And by the way, in your experiment with your Georgia guys, Jesus criminy. Right now, it's C-. Except for Jalen Carter, the rest of them have not been a good investment. What would you give that investment on those 6 players? An A? Knowing most Eagle fans, they would give him Howie an A for him drafting all those Georgia guys. Really? You would be kidding yourself. All those defensive football players that he drafted from Georgia, outside of Jalen Carter, and maybe a little bit of Jordan, the rest of them are not very good right now. They're just not very good. Kobe Dean doesn't look like he belongs in the league. Oh, and another thing about that linebacking core, I did look it up. I couldn't believe what Gary Cobb said is true. You know, both your middle linebackers are 6 feet and under, and they're like 215. You have the smallest inside linebackers in the league, and you're going to stop the run on a football team last year. You got smaller. You have not replaced TJ Edwards. It's 2 years now. You haven't replaced Kaiser White. B-. 5-star says he gives the Georgia guys B-. How? How are you giving them B-? You mean to tell me you think that whole crew of Georgia Bulldog guys has produced above average production for you? Whew. Man, I do not see that. Okay? No way. C-? Sure, that sounds more right. I won't give him a D because Carter's going to be a star, I believe. Carter's not an A+. He ran out of gas, but I'm not going to hold that and his feet to the fire on that. Okay? He ran out of gas after week 13. By the end of the year, he was just as useless as Jordan Davis, but that's okay. It happens. You got to give Nolan Smith a chance. You know what's funny about that? I watched a guy in Will Anderson step on a field and terrorize people, and you knew it immediately. I didn't need to give that guy 70 starts before I realized how good he was. They put Will Anderson on the field one time, and you went, damn. That kid Lloyd down in Jacksonville, they put him on the field 2 games. I went, damn. That Devin Witherspoon, they put him on the field. You went, damn. You put Nolan Smith on the field, this guy gets thrown around like he's a bag of lemons. He's not very stout. He's not very big, and he's not very strong. That guy needs to take some steroids or something because he's not very big. If Jalen Carter does not have off-the-field issues, he'll be a Pro Bowler for a long time. I happen to believe that. Not every player is the same, Sills. Stop it. You're comparing a top 5 pick to a pick number 30. Okay. Somebody help me out here. What's the guy's name that was drafted in the 3rd round by the Rams out of Wake Forest? Kobe, what's his name? Watkins? You put that guy on a football field. I watched him get 9 sacks. I didn't need to have. You tell me how good he was. That guy was great, and he was a 3rd rounder. That guy's a good looker. That Mozzie Smith, you watched him play 2 games, you went, that guy stinks. Is it Turner? Thank you. Kobe Turner had 9 sacks, led all rookies in sacks. Guy's a 3rd-round draft choice. Think about what the Rams did. They got Puka Nacua, not in the 1st round. They got Kobe Turner, like in the 3rd round. And these guys are Pro Bowl players. And they didn't have to use 1st-round picks. And they got 11 picks this year. The Rams are a good organization. They know what they're doing. A couple NFC championship games in the last 5 years and a Super Bowl win with the youngest coach in the league. Still. Well, I don't know if that's the case now. Okay. Get this. And this is what he said. Let's see Turner play without Aaron Donald. Well, let's see Jalen Carter play without Fletcher Cox. Plays there too, kid. Let's see both those guys play without Fletcher. Okay? Is that fair? Let's see those guys play without Fletcher Cox. All right? Philly D goes, yeah, the Eagles been horrible during Rams' success. No. But they've won more. They've won 2 NFC titles in the last five years, is it? And a Super Bowl. And they dug themselves out of cap hell. 11 picks and money. Probably get a quarterback next year. Okay? Brian goes, Sills, you're making too much sense. People actually thought that the Eagles are better right now at this time roster-wise than a year ago. New coaches, new defensive scheme. I mean, and you don't practice. I saw something that Nick did. Now I know Nick has no say. Did you see that the Eagles added an extra day or an extra OTA? I think that's Vic Fangio. I think that's Vic Fangio's influence. I need more time to install this defense. Kellen Moore too, probably. I need more time to work with the offense, with the new coordinators. They should have did this shit last year. Added another OTA. Okay? They got Nolan Smith, that Sam linebacker. He's taken Hassan Reddick's position. There's your new Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith. So for you to get production out of him in the next 2 years, he's got to get you almost 30 sacks. Well, counting the postseason, since you guys are so sure he'll get in to the postseason, you got to he has to get over 30 sacks in 2 years to be a productive replacement for Hassan Reddick. Good luck. Good luck. We added a mandatory mini camp. Better this time than last time. They're going to need more. Sills, what linebacker should we draft in the second round? Oh, I've been talking about the kid Cooper. Okay? And I really like the kid from A&M. But when you start talking about a kid, and I've been talking about him for 3 months. Everyone's jumped on. But I've been talking about him for over 3 months now. And now that his probably draft stock has gone up, there's a kid at Kentucky, Percy Wilson at NC State. I don't mind the kid Colson from Michigan. I think there's probably 4 linebackers that are worth, and I'll tell you what, I love the kid from the Hurricanes in a later draft pick. He's kind of a headache, and I've talked to him, and he should be a second rounder, but, you know, he got into a pushing contest with one of the coaches. And I asked him about it. And, you know, you got to keep your shit and stuff like that, son. You got to keep your head about it yourself. He goes, have you ever pushed a coach? I go, no. Did I want to kill my coach at Maryland? Yeah. You can't. You can't put your hands on people like that. Because then you'll be cast as a guy who can't be coached. Not good. Sills, can you see Howie moving the 22nd plus Sweat to move up in the draft? Denny for who? I like the kid Kitchens. He's a good player at Miami. Let's see. Who are you moving up for, Denny? Okay. Look at what Dick Track says here. Miami sucks since you guys got caught paying for all your talent. I'd do it again, too. So wait a minute. You paid for 5 national titles. Would you do it? Yeah. But just like Barry Switzer says, NIL now means now it's legal. So they don't have to worry about it now. I'd do it again. 5 national championships in 12 years. Yeah, I'd do it again. Not have a problem doing it. Nothing. No problem. 0. It ain't cheating until you get caught. Newsflash. Hey, look at Calvin. Hey, Calvin, don't tell these people because people in Philly don't know anything about college football. They haven't had a college football program since the 1920s. So, I mean, don't bring anything up like that. They have no idea what college football. They cover Rutgers and Temple. That's not college football. Hey, no disrespect. Hey, and Xander's a guy from Philly, but he's an Alabama guy. He even knows Philadelphia hasn't had a football team since 1926. And the only teams they cover is Rutgers and Temple. That's not football. Okay? That's just not, those are hoop schools. I don't even know what Rutgers, Rutgers is kind of halfway, I don't know, fairly decent, I guess. And I love Greg Schiano. I do, man. Look at Waldo. He's like, Sills, I'm from Philly. Yeah, college football? They still play that? Oh, that's what Franklin Field was back in the day. No, the Eagles played there. I think, hey, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Eagles played at Franklin, tell me, until 1971? Did the Eagles play at Franklin until 71? Was it 71 that they played at Franklin? Then the vet was made, right? Yeah. Then they moved into the vet. I've actually been to Franklin Field because of the Penn Relays. I've gone to the Penn Relays. Yeah. I love that place. I think it's one of the most hallowed stadiums on the East Coast. Yale Bowl, Franklin Field. Yeah, the Yale Bowl, like I said, where Harvard plays. Rutgers plays now at the Met. They don't. Well, their on-campus stadium is still from 1842 or something. There's still some old stadiums, but they've knocked most of them down. Brian goes, I missed the vet. Penn State, get this, dude. Waldo, Happy Valley. When Joe Paterno took over that program, I think it was 27,000 seats. When he took over the program in like 50, oh God. When he took over, I forget when he took over. Maybe it was in the early 60s. But I think there was only 28,000 that seated that stadium. Now it's over 120 or 115,000 people sit in that stadium now. It's crazy. It's one of the greatest campuses and one of the greatest stadiums in the East Coast. Okay? I think we're going to draft a kid from Penn State. Steve, I hope they get the kid in the first round from Penn State. Still, both UConn teams back in the Final Four. It's crazy. I said this, Umberto, when did Basketball Haven replace Tobacco Alley and Tobacco Road, and it runs through Storrs, Connecticut. How is that possible? Look, we got great high school basketball in Connecticut, and we got great high school football in Connecticut. But I didn't realize we're the mecca of college basketball, women and men. It's insane. Calhoun goes down as one of the most underrated coaches of all time with the 3 national championships. He's got just as many national championships as Bob Knight. Do you know that, Jim Calhoun? Hey, Sunless, I think that Jeff Stoutland is going to have a field day in this draft. I hope, hey, by the way, Sunless, do me a favor. Take a look at the kid from UConn, speaking of UConn, that was at the Senior Bowl down in Mobile. If you could get that kid in the 2nd or 3rd round, he was the best player, not the best lineman. He was the best player at the bowl game. He was the best player there. He's a little undersized. He's like 6'2.5". That kid can play, man. They were telling me that him at the Senior Bowl, he was killing guys. Guys from LSU and Bama and Georgia. He was putting people on their head. No, hey, relative, I think he's a guard. I can't think of his name right now. Jackson Powers Johnson. They're not going to draft the center from Oregon. I think he's going to Dallas, actually. Sills, aren't NFL teams looking at that kid from NC State? The linebacker, yeah, Percy Wilson. Cyber says Haynes. I don't know if you saw him at the Reese's Senior Bowl. He was freaking spectacular. He was really great. I mean, he was putting people on their heads. He could be a sleeper. He could be a sleeper for the Villanova great hoop program. And I knew Raleigh Massimino when I moved to Vegas and Massimino took over the Run and Rebel program. And I got a chance to meet and know Raleigh Massimino after Tark. And that's how I met Rolly, was when he was at UNLV. The Mobile Bowl, Christian Haynes, that's him, brother. Take a look at his game film. And take a look at his Senior Bowl when he was in Mobile. Okay, if you don't, because you might not like some of the players that he played against on UConn, because I look at that as well. I met the baller from NC State that is in the Final Four. Oh, that big kid that plays on the boards on the 5. I said the same thing. I go, if that kid don't make it in the NBA, man, if I'm Carolina Panthers, I might give him an opportunity to try out for my football team. Put him at tight end. Haynes, I like that kid too, man. I mean, Brian, I like that kid, Haynes. With the 22nd pick, the Eagles take Tyler Guyton. Not a bad selection. He's a good-looking football. Dude, there's 14 O-linemen that could go in the first round, but they're all not going. That's why when you get down to 22, you got to decide. If there's still good O-linemen on board, right? This is what I would do. I would trade out of that and trade down. Get multiple picks. Give me a third. I need a third. You don't have a third, right? Get a third. Trade with somebody where you could get it at the top of the second. You've already got a 50th pick sitting there at 50 in the second, right? You want to get up in the 40s. Or get yourself a third, like 62. That'd be something. Like if you could end up moving out of that 22nd pick and you got a second and a third to do it, or maybe even a late one. How about if you moved with Kansas City? You think Kansas City would be open to move up to 22 and you move down to 31 or 32, I mean? Move with Kansas City. They need a wideout. They love the speedster from Texas. Dallas is looking at the kid from Texas with all that speed. What do you run, a 4.2? So if you're at 22, call Andy Reid and Brett Veach. You got a relationship with them. Hey, what do you guys give me for the 22nd pick? Let's trade down to 32. Give me a 3. And give me a contingent pick in 25. Would you do it? And you get your person, and you get a really good football player at 32. And you get a guy in the 3rd round who's going to be a really good player. You probably get an O-lineman there. That's how you miss. That's how you're trying not to miss in the draft. Okay? Eagles don't move out of the 1st round. Okay, then move down to 32 with the Eagles or the Chiefs. Braswell, I like him, the kid from Bama. Good-looking player. Good-looking player. Absolutely. Yep. Howie Roseman all day doesn't need y'all help. Yeah. He needs all the help he can get, Dick Track. Are you crazy? Look at name me the biggest defensive star he's ever drafted. Here, I'll wait. Come on, Dick Track. Give me the number 1 player he's drafted. Come on, Dick Track. You gotta have a guy. Jalen Mills. Who? Look at Flexing. Look at Flexing. Flexing's like, I'm still waiting. Come on, Dick Track. There's got to be a guy. Anybody on defense. Come on, don't make Flexing wait this long. Mike Shea, who? Look, you hang on to one thing. That one thing stops that guy from being a good general manager every year. Now he's here. He's 20-some-odd days out from the draft, and LJ wants to continue to give that guy draft picks. Here, why don't you just take a knife, LJ, and keep cutting yourself? And every time, hey, folks, if you gave LJ a knife and he had to do this, it's either cut my wrist off and cut my hand off. If Howie misses again, how many times would he have cut his hand off? 10? Well, I'll trust him again. I'll trust him again. Shit, we're going to have to go down to fingers now. Let's cut the fingers off here. Boom. 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 Last year said Sills, give Roseman a raise. Absolutely. Best strategist for capology I've ever seen, and that's where he comes from. He's a bookworm. Oh, I'm not allowed to say he's a glorified CPA anymore, so he's a librarian who works in the CPA section at the library. So he's a librarian. So I'm not allowed to say that because they get a little bit upset up for whatever reason. I mean, I got an Italian CPA. I don't know. Anyway, my aunt's a CPA. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, sure. So he's a librarian. Xander, he said it again. Oh my God. That's the last time you drafted a linebacker in the 1st round was 79. Sills, what do you think about Johnny Newton? Is he good in this game? I'll have to take a look at him. I'll look more at that. I'll have to take a look at that name. Okay. Dan Sileo starred in The Revenge of the Nerds, tormented Howie throughout the whole movie. Yeah. But that's not why, because of nerds. He's a Gator. which means he has no character. That would be like that'd be like Xander being best friends with a guy from Auburn. Do you understand that? Howie top 2, not in drafting. Them Georgia guys, how they doing, Philly? Okay. Only Auburn chicks. Won't lie. SEC? Girls of the SEC? I'll take that edition. Unbelievably, that's a Forrest Gump reference, so I'm sorry if some of you don't get it, but it's all good. Girls of the SEC. Oh, man. Look at Dick Track. How he drafts well. I asked you. Damn, you made Twiz hold his breath. Twiz, how long have you been holding your breath waiting for Dick Track to give you one player that he's drafted on defense that was exceptional? Dude, hey, Dick Track, he's going to pass out and die if you don't help him. Here we go. Mr. Negative just came. Hey, shut up. Shut up, Wormy. That's your new name, too, Wormy. How he drafts O-line and D-line good in quarterbacks. He does. What quarterback has Howie Roseman drafted that's been exceptional? I'll wait. I'll wait. Quarterbacks? Like who? That's exceptional. Foles wasn't exceptional. Foles had an exceptional game and stretch run. And one good year, like Jalen. Hey, wait a minute. I never thought about that. That 26 touchdown and 2 interception year. Whew, way better than Jalen Hurts' 2022 season. He was a one-year wonder too. Interesting. At least Nick followed it up with a Super Bowl win a couple years later. How about that? Foles, Burt Bell, Jalen Burt Bell. Yeah, and you fired Wentz after you gave him an extension, and you chose Wentz over Foles, and now you got a guy who's on a respirator in his career because if he doesn't play well this year, goodbye. Because he'll do it again. Goodbye, Jalen. Fast as that guy got that money, as fast as that money will start coming out of your bank account. Woo! How you doing? Once again, the guy you have right now playing quarterback in the style of play that they want him to play will never win a Super Bowl, ever, in Philadelphia. You go back to 22, he will have a great chance. Until then, he'll never. Prove me wrong. We shall see. Carson Wentz was a bad pick. Carson Wentz was the greatest era of quarterbacking in your franchise's history. He did more than any quarterback did his time in Philadelphia than any quarterback you ever had. He was a bad pick. Chris goes, did JAKIB hit you to drag the if you could do me a favor, could you hire one of those Shohei Ohtani interpreters for Big Chris? Xander, I know that I don't want to have to fire anybody else, but if we could get an interpreter for Big Chris, because I'm not sure what he's saying, that would really help me if we could get an interpreter so that, I can maybe follow along with what he's saying. Thank you. I appreciate it. I want the Shohei Ohtani interpreter because, hey, if that guy can handle, well, he couldn't handle $4 million. So maybe I don't want him. Maybe I don't want him. Hey, Forrest, you want to hear something crazy? Carson Wentz didn't have a receiver with over 500 yards on that team that he threw for 4,000. Jalen Hurts had 2 receivers with 1,000 yards each and a running back with 1,000, and he couldn't throw for $4,000. You tell me. The year he threw for $4,000, there wasn't one receiver on the team, one wide receiver on the team that had over 500 yards in receiving yards. Not one. And he threw for $4,000. How's that possible? How's that possible? How's that possible? And you got a guy with 2 receivers 2 years in a row with 1,000 yards each, and he can't throw for $4,000. In a league that it's easier to throw for $4,000. I don't get it. Think about that, Brian. That year he threw for $4,000. Wentz didn't have a receiver with over 500 yards receiving. Not one. And this guy's got 2. And he can't throw for 3,900 yards. Hey, all I know is this, Greasy. If Big Sills had an interpreter, you know where he'd be. He'd be in the Hudson. Hey, you know what? I don't really care about the $4 million. I just don't. I want him talking, saying anything that might incriminate Big Sills. Hey, what happened to the interpreter? I don't know, man. He went on a sailing trip. And, he went on a sailing trip with Brian Williams. And, I don't know what happened. The old guy, the old center with the Nets. I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened. Too soon? All right. Hey, I have no idea what happened. Yeah, man. Hey, Shohei Ohtani? Hey, I don't know. Not good. Wentz has already accomplished more than you'll ever be capable of. Little guy. Great. Congratulations to you, son. Way to Google it, Rocky. Now go sit in the corner before I spank you. What's Dick Track saying? Without Foles, Philadelphia is nothing. Carson Wentz is trying to da. There's a bunch of babies in here today. Mr. Perez goes, Sills was a bum in the NFL, so we don't need your opinion. Oh, Mr. Perez, really? You go there, Mr. Perez? Yeah, you're right. Big Sills. What a bum. I'm glad I was a bum. Yeah. One of only 26,000 men ever to be a bum in that league. In 115 years, I was one of the 26,000 bums. With that, I got to take a timeout. Hit the like button. Keep it here. Don't forget, Mark Farzetta will join us at 5:30 Eastern. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans. We're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything. Everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big sales. Don't forget Mark Farzetta, 5:30. I just saw Dick Track make another comment. He's been on a low flame today. So he says that Carson Wentz was a locker room cancer. So let's take account of this. So C.J. Gardner-Johnson, when he left the first time, was a locker room cancer. Now Hassan Reddick is a locker room cancer. Carson Wentz was a locker room cancer. Boy, you see a theme here? Every time you guys get rid of someone, they're locker room cancers. Really? Or could that just be maybe a you thing? I mean, every time someone leaves, they're a locker room cancer. So I guess like you say, when I say something about Hurts, your excuse is you go to, well, they must be a locker room cancer. Every guy that you've had, Derek Barnett, locker room cancer. So every guy that you guys move off of, Andre Dillard, locker room cancer, doesn't want to be coached. All of these players that leave and go somewhere else, that's how you guys, and that's the low-hanging fruit you go to, is that they're bad people? Or like Chris Diminished? Damn. Or Diminished? I can't wait to see what you'll say about Jalen Hurts once this thing runs its course. I'd say Jalen Hurts is 2 more years in Philly. He's got 2 years left in Philly. Xander thinks so too. Flexing goes, they're going to crucify him. You think they'll treat Jalen? Hey, how about this? It's a good take. This is a good topic here. Hey, Flexing, if Jalen Hurts doesn't turn it around this year, do you think they'll be more brutal on him than they were Carson? At least Carson was involved in a Super Bowl. No trade clause. In 2 years, there's a reevaluation if you look at the contract. Okay? So this is what the Eagles will do. They'll draft a quarterback. And that'll be the end of him. When he want out, or do you just stay there? There's always a way to get a quarterback out. You know how you do that? You draft Jordan Love. If a quarterback has a no clause, like say Dak does, you know how the Cowboys get him out of there? Draft a quarterback. Two years your boy Hurts has left. He has really 1 year to turn it around. The second year will be he's out. I never thought this thing was for long anyway. Let's see. That's 2 years, not after this year. All Hurts was in a Super Bowl. So what? I can name you 10 bums that were too. Hey, Flexen. Right. No, I'm not saying you're right. Hey, Flexen, you and me could name 10 bums that took a team to the Super Bowl or were in one. We could name 10 bums. What about the cap hit? If you're Jalen Hurts, why would you want to stay in a place that they're drafting quarterbacks? So wait a minute. Let me get this right. Barb, you really think that the Philadelphia Eagles, if this guy sucks this year, they're just going to keep going down the line of him sucking and not getting better? And they're just going to keep paying him $50 million for a guy that's not going anywhere with all the talent you have on your team? No matter how many coaches you bring in, no matter how many people you bring in, no matter who you draft, you're not winning a Super Bowl with him. Now, you go back, like I said. Now, I want to always underline this and preface this. If you go back to 22, but by the way, you know why you'll never go back to 22? The further you get away from it, the more you're not going to go back to when he was younger and healthier. Jalen Hurts is getting more banged up. You guys even said he was hurt last year, and he wasn't even running RPOs last year. Imagine if he did. That guy may not even be healthy in 2 years. He's getting more banged up every year. Dan, remember the Eagles and Howie is a quarterback factory. Yeah, right. Okay. Hence the 2026 third rounder Howie is hedging his bets on Jalen, and he'll need to trade up on capital. I love that. Wow, I didn't think about that. Is that the Jalen Hurts pick? A second rounder? It turns into a second rounder, right, dude? In 26. Holy cow. I didn't think about that. Wait a minute. Xander, put that back up again. That's a really interesting way of looking at that 2026 pick. If Hurts doesn't have it turned around by then, it turns to a second rounder because what's his name's going to play well this year in New York. And you'll have a 1 and a 2 to draft your quarterback in 26. Woo! Yeah! Philly's getting a new quarterback in 2026. Hopefully he's a drop back guy. Hopefully he looks like Josh Allen. Hurts loves to fumble, leave the pocket, throw the ball away. Also, mark him down for another 15 picks. With Kellen Moore? Sure. Hey, SMD. Who's Mark Holmes? Who is that guy? Again, dude, the guy sits watching guys like me holding his joystick. I can't believe Sileo knows Stephen Jones. He's really had Stephen Jones on his show? Yeah. Nobody knows who you are, kid. Go back to the broom closet. Sills, Pickett is here until 2026. They're evaluating him for the changeover. Hey, Bob, right? He's the Nate Sudfeld of today. That's Xander's boy. He loves Kenny Pickett. Pitt kid, surprisingly. Oh, he's a Jersey kid, though. It's all right. Reddick needs 10 or more sacks plus to play 67% of the snaps. So that's standard on what he does every year. Ask the Eagles. Oh, wait. Just watch Dan destroy Mark Holmes. Dude, Mark Holmes. Who the fuck is Mark Holmes? Hey, I've never been. Oh, by the way, I guess he's a Cowboy honk. And so, like, it's between the Cowboy honk and the Eagle. The IP and that Fanatic lineup, I've never heard of anybody except John Kincaid. John tried recruiting me for the WCNN station for mornings when he was in Atlanta, and I turned the job down. They weren't offering enough money. I stayed at WDAE. They brought me up. It was Dickey Broadcasting. And I think the brother owned Cumulus. They flew me in. I was there for 3 days. I think he used to do a show with Buck Bellew. I love Buck, quarterback for Georgia Bulldogs. He was there forever, too. He was really good there. He stinks at 97.5 right now. That thing's unlistenable. I can't believe what happened to John. He actually used to be good. But whoever said Beasley would make you better. Anyway, yeah. They flew me in, and it's kind of crazy. I turned the job down. I said, get out of here for that money, $125,000. I make that now. Should the owners stop paying quarterbacks so soon just because they had one good year? NFL scouts suck at evaluating quarterbacks. Death Row, I want to show you something here that's coming up in the NFL draft. And think about it. Hey, Death Row, he brings a great point up. You have hit on something that is so essential in today's draft, Death Row. Think of this. If they're willing to pay quarterbacks like Hurts, Kyler Murray, okay, Kyler Murray, and then evaluate J.J. McCarthy, Josh Rosen, Brandon Weeden, Drake May, Michael Penix. If they're willing to elevate these guys into the first round, look how fast they are to pay quarterbacks if you have a decent season. It just shows you that their rush to judgment in the draft and when they sign these extensions is over the top extensive. They follow the same mentality in the draft as they do to signing a guy like Jalen Hurts. I would have never signed Jalen Hurts off of 1 year. I'd sign Jalen Hurts off of 2 years. I would never sign Brock Purdy over 1 year. No freaking way. I want to see a model of consistency before I pay him. Hey, you know why Kirk Cousins gets paid? Because he's been a model of success and consistency. Whether the organizations are good or not, he's been a model of consistency. Once again, do I think that guy's an exceptional quarterback? No, but I'll tell you one thing he is. He's consistent. And there's a reason that almost, 36? He just made $200 million. Kirk Cousins has made more money than Tom Brady in the NFL because of his consistency. Think of that. Brady's won 7 NFL championships. He's won 1 playoff game, and he's made more. Was it because he's glowing postseason record? It's because of what? He's been consistently good. Hey, get this. Even a dummy who supports a shitty-ass program like the Gators can't see that because most of those Gator guys, again, they were born with half a brain. They wouldn't know. But Cousins has made more than Tom Brady. Always remember something. If you're a Gator, you were born with half a brain and 1 nut. That may be a little too over the top for you, man. Okay. Dan, you're like a successful sitcom from 10 years ago. Hey, Gator guy, good to have you here. Pull up a chair, sit there, and shut your mouth. Okay? Thanks for coming back after 10 years. Way to go, kid. Remember, I didn't invite you. You came in on your own. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, kid. Remember something. This is not like the military draft. You come here at your own accord. This isn't like invitation only. And by the way, 99% of you I love. And even you too, Gatorfish. Okay? Hey, one nut Gator man. It's all good. Don't worry about it, man. We're going to smash the shit out of you in the opener this year. I can't wait to play you. So then I could just absolutely beat the shit out of that program once again. Here. Let me just put this to you. Let me see. Where's my Gator football? There it is right there, September 6th. September 6th, game ball, beating the shit out of that program. You're welcome. Hey, tell Howie, I got a Gator game ball up there for beating the piss out of you. Don't worry about it, one nut. You'll be all right, kid. I don't need your loving. I would like an honest show every now and then. It is an honest show. You just don't like what you hear. Your honesty's lies. My honesty is what I see. You don't like it? Go get a prosthetic nut. Then you got two. Hey, I did say, I didn't say love nut. No, that was supposed to be lug nut. That was supposed to be lug nut, not one nut. Okay? I've watched you for 2 years. I know what I've heard. Of course. Oh, no, not one of those guys. What I heard. I have no friends. So you didn't hear anybody from friends of mine. I have friends that are football players, not in this thing. You have no friends if you're in the media. And anyone says they do, they're liars. Because they're backstabbers. They're Judases. And Xander's my boy. Me and Xander are boys because he's been, you know why I love Xander? Because he's been stabbed too. Hey, when Xander comes to me and he goes, Sills, you did, and I go, yep, I got it. And I'm doing this. Yeah, I know, man. I know. It's uncool. I know. You should have seen him. He says I'm unhinged. You should have seen him before my show. Never. That ain't going there. Never again. I was like, hey. Oh. You love Jake because we love Big Sills back. That's right, man. Totally true. Dude, this is the Barkley factor here. Barkley doesn't leave TNT for a reason. You think he could go to work for that liberal company? Look what they're doing to Pat McAfee. You know what Pat McAfee told me about his work? He hates going to work there, except for this. Every Tuesday, he makes $17 million a year. And I said, well, that would make me feel a lot better, too, if I had to go to work with dickheads. Hey, believe me, I get it. He goes, it's miserable here. It's miserable. I said, I told you, man. They were going to try to undo you. They undid your relationship with Aaron Rodgers. They totally did that because of Jimmy Kimmel. And Jimmy Kimmel used to attack him. They made him pull Aaron Rodgers off the show. And Aaron Rodgers was one of the reasons people watched the show. Was because he would come on the show. And then ABC / Disney made him yank him off the show. It's not the same. He totally hates it there. He totally hates it there. And I said, dude, you don't need these people. Why are you here? And he goes, I'm dropping more F-bombs than I've ever dropped before. Do you know the shit that they say? Do you know the shit? Hey, get this, Barb. The shit he drops F-bombs and has said more things on that show than I've said in my 32 years on the air. I can't believe the stuff. And he says it on network television. Ever since Howie turned Sills offered down, I've never asked Howie Roseman to come on this program ever. I wouldn't want him to because he's a liar. You get other people to get him on. I've never asked him, nor would I want to. They stopped the head coach from coming on because I was mean to your Gator GM. Then they called my bosses every day. Think about what they've done. They stopped the head coach from coming on, who was given his number by Frank Reich. I had him lined up. And they called and said, why would I put him on? You say these things about Howie. What's that got to do with Nick? Then they call my bosses every day. So they couldn't stop me there because I don't really need guests. I never have. This is more me is better. I don't poke. What's that guy's name? John Moore? What's that guy's name? Oh, no, the Flexen. Eagles get very upset with me. You know why? The new shows that are coming on now, I'm still out doing them. Give me a cup and a string. That's all Big Sills needs. That's all I need. Hey, brother, it's called discourse and dialogue. You are literally doing what you are calling me out for. Look in the mirror. Who's Bob? Is that like bobbing for apples? Okay. Okay. LJ goes like, see this right here? Really? Well, he's a liar. Are you crazy? We get calls weekly from them. Because they watch us at the NovaCare Center. That's actually a testament to you. Sills wishes the Eagles called. Keep thinking it. How definitely got bullied by the guys on the football team. No, he didn't. Howie's got the upper hand here. Well, not with Vic. Vic wanted to have the upper hand. He got it. We'll reset that a little bit at the top here. Okay. Howie couldn't handle Sills? No, James. The Eagles don't like to be criticized or any of their moves. Oh, by the way, congratulations to Angelo Cataldi for being elected into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. I must say, I am awful proud to have taken the baton from Angelo as the next one in Philadelphia Sports Talk. Thank you, Angelo. And congratulations to you. I'll try to live up to your standard on what you set in Philadelphia. Thank you for passing it on to Big Sills and Bona Fortuna. And congratulations. Yeah, you imagine that. Angelo goes, you're the only one left. The rest of those guys are those guys in the afternoon. AJ Owens, how does it feel today? Are you okay? Or the guy in the morning, Nick, how's the pressure? How are you doing? I didn't know I had a psychology degree here. Who gives a shit? Do your job. Good, do your job. Hey, but LJ, I thought you said he sucked. He just made it into the Philly Sports Hall of Fame. You guys said, some of you in here think that Angelo blows. How did he get elected into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame if he blows? He's the worst, like you. Oh, thank you. Sills is to be detained in the Eagles, in any Eagles function. Hey, can you imagine this? Hey, Chris, if I showed up at the vet, I'd be in that jail you have in the 700 section. That's where I'd be. Rock steady, thank you. I still have. Hey, look at Barb, man. She's like that chick that was sitting in the stands screaming at the people when the cameras caught her. Run the fucking ball. Run the ball. You shut the hell up. Run the ball. Hey, Nick, you're done. You're done. Eat some popcorn. Tremendous. Tremendous. You'd have under the jail at the vet. Don't worry about it, honey. Come on, Big Chris. You know you love Big Sills. Come here and give me a kiss. Hey, what are you doing? Sills is the bad. Hey, Christopher, you don't have no idea what that right there, man. Big Sills, the heel of Philly. The heel of Philly sports talk. There he is. The bad guy. It's okay. You guys can call me the bad guy. That's all right, honey. We're ready to go. Hey, 11. You know when Tony Montana? Hey, come here. Give me a kiss. Hey, where you going? Tony Montana in Scarface. Hey, where you going? Come here. Give me a kiss. Look at Dirty D. The taint? Jesus criminy, man. Give me a break. Holy cow. Listen, absolutely. Absolutely. So, hey, I just saw this online. So do you realize that Patrick Mahomes, this will be the best backup that Mahomes has had so far since he's been in Kansas City? And everyone in Kansas City loves the move. Twiz, thank you, brother. That's the objective. Just a little different than Tony Bruno. It's all in the delivery, because this is Xander's favorite word. Never. Chad Henne. Yeah, that was the guy that was Brady's guy, right? Okay. Yeah, hey, this show is all foolery, no facts. Really? No, but yours is. You speak the facts because your defense is great, right? Bull-faced lie. It's a bull-faced lie. Your team stunk last year. That's the truth. Your quarterback stunk. That's the truth. Your coaches stunk. All of them. That's the truth. All shit I said all year. Whether you were 10-1 or 11-7. 11-6. Didn't matter. Or 11-7 with the playoff loss. Didn't matter. You realize something? You won four. You won 4 more games in your L column. Whoa. You really knocked them down. Whoa. Man. Really knocked them down. First 11 weeks, we were really good. What happened at the end? Well, who cares? You know, we root for mediocrity here in Philly now. That's solid. Look at Dirty D telling the truth. This shows a lot of facts. We just don't like them. I know. That sucks. Okay? Sills, the Eagles profit your show and you stay No, what benefits my show is their buffoonery moves. And here, let me tell you, I'll give you the overall essence, Will. You're so close to winning a Super Bowl every year, but you can't stand yourselves. You're more concerned with control than you are championships. That's the buffoonery of the whole thing. You know why sometimes we're critical? Is because you can't get out of your own way. You have an underachieving owner who should have won at least 3 Super Bowls by now instead of 1. And your incompetence when it comes to building defenses has been a problem. You kept a coach that, for no reason at all, you need a play-calling head coach. Everyone with success in the league has one. And you can't see the facts. That's really the trouble, is that Jeffrey Lurie does not give a shit about Super Bowls. He says he does. But if he did, he'd allow people to do their jobs, which he doesn't, which means he wants control instead of championships. End of story. Has to be frustrating. Don't take it out on me. Take it out on your owner who won't allow people to do their gigs. That's the problem. You won't let coaches do their jobs. You actually found a coach in Doug and you didn't care. And get this, you got a guy who has no job. And you kept him there because you know why? The owner would rather have control. And that's where you are. And I would think, as an Eagle fan, that would be frustrating. Make the Super Bowl next year? You're going to be fighting to make the playoffs next year. Look at Gator Guy. Why do we produce the single most GMs? What's that have to do with you winning championships? How are you tying that in? So you have, by the way, what has Joe Douglas, Andrew Berry done? And Brett Veach was handpicked by Andy. And he was under Joe Banner and Andy. That Brett Veach is more of a, Howie doesn't get credit for Brett Veach. And the guy who built actually the Kansas City Chiefs and picked Mahomes was John Dorsey. I mean, you make it sound like your general managers are killing it. Jets and Browns, what have they done exactly? I must have missed that. The Jets haven't been good since Neil Armstrong was on the moon. And the Browns haven't been good since Jim Brown ran the ball. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, the last time the Browns were good, Jim Brown played. And the last time the Jets were good, Joe Namath was dating fine chicks in New York, and Neil Armstrong was on the moon. What the hell are you talking about? Look at Bob Brown. This is very true. The average Sills watches 1 hour and 20 minutes. The average Sills hater watches for 2.5 hours. Both want to see what he'll say next. I never thought that was really ever true, but that always pertained to me, I guess. Even Bubba Booey believes that. I love those guys over. I could have, after Pharrell left Howard 101, I got offered the job, and I probably should have took it. And I forget the guy's name who offered me the job, but he offered it to me. I knew him in radio. He wanted me to come over and go to work. Tim. Oh, what was his name? Tim. Anyway, he offered me the job. He goes, hey, you want to come to work and take over for Howard 101? I had the data to confirm all Sills viewers are here for well over an hour. Woo! Wow. In radio, You know what my average watch time was? Let's see. It was one of the biggest in sports talk history. I think I had him for 45 minutes, where most people have him for 5 minutes. Howard had him long. They would stay on that old NBC show. And Howard loved it. And they go, when you come to work, and I go, I don't want to come to work in a satellite and Sirius XM. And, I don't want to start swearing on the air. I should have did it. I should have did Howard 101 and went over to XM. He offered me a gig. He wasn't paying a lot, but I should have took the job. I truly think some of you have forgotten what it's like to be bad organization. Sills convinces you we are one, with all the evidence points to the contrary. I do agree we should have 3 Super Bowls by now. No. I never said you're a bad organization. I said that you can't draft defensive players. You got a general manager who has too much power. You got an owner that meddles, and you guys get in your own way. You win a lot of games, but you win games that are not significant when it comes to winning championships. You don't win big enough games. So you're compromised with doing this. Well, we're almost there. And you're never there. Instead of letting people do their jobs, like in Baltimore. See, in Baltimore, they allow John Harbaugh to do his job. See, in New York, they now have allowed people to get in the way. When they had Jerry Reese and Tom Coughlin there, both guys who knew how to build organizations, they won 2 Super Bowls. And now they're a shit show. Okay? Look at the Rams. Rams got a head coach who allows his defensive guys to go do their job. Go ahead. Go do it. That's your side. I'll step in if I have to. They don't step on it like you do. Look at the meddling that you had last year. You imploded a 10. Here's something I would say to you, Gator. You imploded a 10-1 season and you didn't need to. That was self-inflicted. You derailed a 10-1 season. Who do you blame for that? You can't just blame bad coaching. Who do you blame for that? Your great organization? Ask yourself that. Gator, who do you blame for last year? You can't just blame bad coaching. Those coaches were hired by somebody. The decision-making to put Desai in the building and then Patricia in the building and then to play two-gapping with personnel you don't even have. Whose decision was that? Well, who hired the coordinators, Anthony? Who moved the coordinators around? There's not one person to blame. Yes, there is. If you own the team and you're the GM and those are your decisions, you're to blame. You can't deflect everything onto anybody else. That's a Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie decision. That's organization. That's self-inflicting. That's not opinion. You watched it unravel. Did you not? Get this. At least Yale in the 70s when the Eagles sucked, there was clarity. Bad coaching, bad ownership, bad players. Here, you got good players. You got a halfway decent quarterback. You got a decent coach at times. And you got an organization who won't allow people to do their jobs. Who do you blame there? As good as Breeze and Rodgers are, they only have 2 Super Bowl wins combined. The problem that you have in Green Bay is that there's no ownership. It's run by a board of directors. You have too many decision makers. There's no clarity in Green Bay. They do a lot of good things well, but at the end of the day, isn't there any coincidence, Will, when they had one head chief in charge in Green Bay and he was telling all the board of directors to sit the fuck down? It was Lombardi. who won 5 titles in 9 years. They've never been that successful since. Why? Because there was one guy with clarity. And when he left, the board of directors grabbed control again. And that's why they've underachieved with only 2 Super Bowls in 35 years. With 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. There's no clarity. But when you had clarity, you had Lombardi. And that's why they won 5-9. And 6-1 in the postseason. There's a reason for that. And remember something. When Lombardi took over the Packers in 59, does anyone know what the record was in 58? And by the way, there were 11 Hall of Famers eventually off that roster in 59 that he took over. 11 Hall of Famers. Do you know what the record was in 58? They won 1 game. 1 game. Then after that, they won 5 titles in 9 years. Green Bay has no clarity. And when you say the Saints, well, I think Mickey Loomis is a really good GM. I think Benson was a halfway decent owner. Do I think Benson was a better owner than Jeffrey Lurie? No. They had a lot of bad decision-making. I personally think that them owning the Pelicans has hurt them. I think them owning the Pelicans and sharing their resources with the Pelicans. If you notice, the Pelicans are in better shape right now than the Saints. Well, the Benson family owns both. And one team's better, the Pelicans. And where'd they put the money? Zion Williamson. They're not spending a ton of money on that team. That team actually is a ton of money over the cap. Greasy. Green Bay Packers in 1958 when Lombardi took over. They were 1-10-1. In 1959, they had their first winning season in 32 years. Then they would go on and win 5 titles in 9 years. And he said in the locker room after the Eagles beat them in the 60 title game, this will never happen again. Take a good look around the room, man. The Packers will never lose a championship game again. And they never did. Mark Farzetta is going to join us at 5:30. We're going to reset and we're going to bring up some of the stuff that I brought up about Vic Fangio. We are going to reset. Hit the like button. Keep it here, National Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at JAKIB. At DryTech, we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz and Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. I'm going to reset here. Then we're going to get Farzetta in to get his opinion on this. I do think that the Eagles have made a pivot, though. I do think they've made a pivot. I said something about that the owner of the Eagles, his number one priority is to have control versus championships. I do think that comment that I just made is going to be a major focal point here. And again, we brought this up in the first hour, and I want to reset it. We did some research on how Fangio got the job as defensive coordinator in Philly. And it's important to know that this was done, and there was conversations going on between the agents and Philadelphia intermediary people that were working on this prior to the season ending. Vic wanted out of Miami. He didn't like Mike McDaniel's direction. He didn't like, I would say, more culture. Mike McDaniels is a new wave millennial guy. I'm not sure that fits with a 70-year-old defensive coordinator. And again, philosophies don't always work. It's okay. It's not an indictment on both men. Sometimes people work better with others. It's not an indictment. Okay? Laurie was involved. I agree. Well, I had a chance to talk with some people in Miami, and personally, what the issue was where was Nick going to go? And I was talking with LJ, and one of the most important things that came up when we were talking about what was going to be an important part of this was going to be the type of control that Nick was going to allow, and also the ownership was going to allow with Vic Fangio. The parameters for Vic Fangio becoming the defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles was that he was going to have last say in scheme and personnel. This is something that the Eagles don't like to give and haven't given. They don't even give their head coaches this. But that was a major priority. And having worked with Hassan Reddick in the past, when he was a consultant, when they went to the Super Bowl, Vic already had his doubts on how Hassan Reddick was to be used in the 34 scheme. Remember something. He was a consultant in a 4-front, not a 34 front. This is going to be a completely different defense this year. Schematically, it's going to be the same. Not a lot of blitzing, control and contain. Reddick doesn't fit that. Reddick fits a 4-front. He's out in the 34 front. I'm being told this. As soon as Vic got the job, within 24 hours he got the job. Once he resigned with the Dolphins, within 24 hours, he got the job as DC with the Philadelphia Eagles. He gets the job. His first priority is to interview Hassan Reddick. We'd like you to do this. Be part of this. We want you to drop in coverage. We want you to do this. Well, Hassan Reddick made it very clear this past season that he did not like how the Eagles used him. He made comments in the locker room and into the media. I only do what they say upstairs. Well, I've said this before to you, and I'll say it again. If you buck the system in Philly, they don't want players like that. They want get along, go along guys. And Reddick didn't like the way he was being used. And I don't blame the player. The player knows he's not good in coverage. He's not the best against the run. You saw what George Kittle did to him last year. They were dropping him the last 2 games, I think, just to make a point. Once Vic found out that he wasn't able or willing to go along with what he was going to do with his 34, let me call my old buddy with the Niners. Robert, tell me something about Bryce Huff. Agents got on the phone. Conversation was Joe Douglas, Howie. Kind of guy is he? Hey, there's a great relationship between the two men. Before you know it, Jets go, we're going to allow him to walk, and they allow him to walk. They signed Hassan Reddick Jr. and Bryce Huff. Agent said to Vic's people, he's willing to do whatever you want. You want to drop him in coverage? Go ahead. He'll do it for you. He was more willing to do what Vic wanted than Hassan was. And you know what happened the next week? The agent pushed for a trade and said, not so much a trade. Hey, we'd like to renegotiate our contract code. We'd like a trade, without saying it. And the Eagles came back and said, after they had that meeting, why don't you go find a team that potentially there's a suitor for? Would it shock you of how he aimed them in the Jets' direction, knowing the relationship that he has with Joe Douglas? Do you think that's a little coincidental? That Howie aimed him in the direction of Joe? All these guys know one another. Fangio knows Robert Saleh, and Howie Roseman knows Joe Douglas. I'm going to keep going here. Well, first day of free agency, they signed Huff. Fangio never had any intention, because he had worked with him in 22, of keeping Hassan Reddick on the team. And the Eagles never made an offer because they had no intention of keeping him. They had no intention. They had no intention. They never offered. And here's the thing with the Jets. So if the Jets don't extend him, they get him for a 1-year rental. Let's say he doesn't play well. Well, does that mean that the Jets get to offer him less than $15 million? Keep him at 11? And he still gets you 8 sacks, 9 sacks? I'd pay $8 million for that. Look at what Jadeveon Clowney just signed for. He signed for $12 million. He's never had the sack totals that Reddick's had. And get this. If he doesn't live up to the expectations, say he walks out of the building, the Jets get a comp 3. They almost cover their loss. That's not a Howie Roseman trade. One thing Howie, and I'll give him this, the one thing that Howie does that he is very proud of, he doesn't like to come out on the short end of trades. This doesn't even make sense, but it does, because you know why? In my opinion, it's goodwill to Vic. See, Vic, you want him out? We got him out at any expense for you. And we got you a player. Pressure's on you now to fix this. This is a coach that's been given complete autonomy in decision-making on what front you're going to run and what personnel is going to be acquired, especially on the pro side. Now, I'm not sitting here suggesting to you that a 70-year-old man knows all these guys coming out in college. But what's going to happen is the scouts are going to come to Vic and go, who do you like? That's why they're bringing in a ton of people. They brought in Chop already. And there's no doubt they worked a bunch of guys out. They were all there at the combines. And they probably have right now 15 or 20 guys that they're pretty happy with, that if they're there at 22 or around 22 or below 22, that they would take at that pick and that Vic would be happy with. Remember something. He don't really give a shit about the name on the back of the jersey. What's your skill set? What do the Eagles need right now? Well, they need an edge setter, not so much a pass rusher. You supposedly has addressed that with Huff. You need an edge setter, someone that won't allow teams to get wide on you. I think Sweat does a nice job of that on the other side. But I think that thing is odd. You got him backing up Bryce Huff. So you got the better player backing up the lesser player because of what? More money or Vic? On the depth chart for the Eagles, if you look at it now, Bryce Huff is starting ahead of a guy who's a better player. Josh Sweat's a better player. But because Vic has say in the personnel, this is Vic's game. Again, it's not an indictment on whether it's going to work or not. It's just he's got say, more say than any coach on the coaching staff. I mean, it lends me to believe on draft day, could Josh Sweat still be traded? You know that restructure? It's a weird restructure. It's for less money. And the cap hits are low. That would make me want to make a trade for him. Why not? You got him locked up for the next couple of years and it's not cap heavy. If I'm a team, I might give you a third rounder for him. He's a good football player, man. He's your best 3-down lineman that you have in the building right now. He's your best 3-down player. Then you got to go back into the draft now. Again, there's a reason he's on the second team. I think they're still going to move him. I think there's a ton of stuff that's yet to play out as we get closer to the draft. Who else do you like at edge? James, I like the kid Verse, but I think he's going to go between 11 and 15. He could sneak in top 10. I think the kid from UCLA might be down there too. I think there's 3 edge rushers that you could look at and say that I'd be pretty comfortable with. Chop Robinson, Verse, and Lutu from UCLA. I think those 3 guys look like players. Okay? I think they look like players. But just think about that. So if you move Sweat, your D-line, why is Milton Williams in the starting role when he's never started really a down in any significant time, like consecutively for the Philadelphia Eagles? All of a sudden now, he's your left DE in a 34 defense? Has he ever played it? Why is he out there? Are you really going to go into a 2024 season with a guy who's not had any reps in a 5 technique? He didn't play 5 technique in the last 2 years. Are you really going to do that? And then you put Sweat behind Huff. Weird. You got a guy on your depth chart now who's not played in a 5 technique in 2 years. You put Sweat in the second team. You put Davis on the nose, which is a true position for him. And you're gambling that Carter can set the edge in a 5 technique. I've never seen Jalen Carter play in a 5 technique when he was at Georgia or with Philly. I've never seen that. Can he do it? Is he athletic enough to do it? I'll tell you somebody who could do it was Fletcher. But he retired. I don't know. It just seems that they have more up their sleeve, or Vic does. This is very un-Eagle-like, which means, in my opinion, you got a head coach who's watching this and watching Vic and Howie put this defense together, and you have to have blind faith in it. This defense is not going to resemble anything of 22. You know, you guys keep telling me, well, he was the consultant on that Super Bowl defense. Well, that was a lot of 5 front and 4 front. This is not going to be 5 and 4 front. This is going to be 3 front. And maybe a nickel, they'll go to 4. But he's a 34 guy. And your linebackers, like I said, you got Bryce Huff, Nakobe Dean, Devin White, and Nolan Smith. That really doesn't sound formidable enough to me to be covering these tight ends or backs out of the backfield with guys who are not skilled like that. I mean, I'm telling you, they have to have something else up their sleeve here. They got $40 million in cap space. They still have money. Are they going to make a trade? MG goes, Eagles better find a Vince Wilfork. Well, let me put it to you this way, MG. If Jordan Davis doesn't start this year, it's over. Now, I'm going to lay this story out to Mark Farzetta here. I got a lot of friends of mine down in South Florida, Armando Salguero, all them guys. And it now really seems on how this all has been orchestrated, and now the Reddick deal makes sense. And I'll ask Mark about his take on the Reddick deal. But before I do that, I want to lay this out that I just laid out for you. So let's bring in Mark Farzetta here. How you doing, Paisan?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing?
All right, I want to lay something out on you here, okay, about Vic. If we go back to when he got that job, wasn't it within a 24-hour period that he resigned, and then within 24 hours, he's the defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah, it literally broke as the Eagles were having the end of the year press conference. Everyone's phones started going off in the press conference, and it was Adam Schefter, Vic Fangio headed to Philadelphia, wants to be closer to the family. And yeah, that was within 24 hours of, I believe, the exit interviews in Miami, including the meeting between Vic Fangio and Mike McDaniel.
Here's what I'm being told. That whole thing was orchestrated between the agents the last 4 weeks of the season, and that with Vic and Mike McDaniels, it wasn't so much that those guys did. And by the way, I say this all the time. Sometimes cultures don't mesh. You got a 70-year-old DC, and you got a guy who has a Hello Kitty backpack. I mean, you know what I'm saying, Mark? I mean,
yes.
Sometimes things just don't mesh, right? It's not an indictment on both guys, but it's more so that, you know, they probably wanted to go in a different direction. Well, here's what I'm told. Vic wanted complete say and autonomy when it came to retooling the Eagle defense, because he had worked with Reddick and he had worked with them in 22 as a consultant, both on the offensive side and the defensive side. Well, he gets the job. He comes up to Philly. He has a meeting with Reddick. He goes to Reddick, and Reddick says this, and you're the guy that was singly most responsible also for me bringing something up. I'm going to tell you what that is, because you're one of the very few guys that pointed it out. He talked to him and said, hey, this is what I have envisioned for you, dropping you in coverage, playing the run, rushing the passer. Reddick was not as open to that because he said, I don't think that's my best skill set. And you were one of the very few people that said, you know what I noticed in a locker room? I only do what they tell me to do from upstairs. And sure enough, comes out of that meeting, the agent then ask for a new contract. Eagles say, if you can find a dance partner, just so happens he's aimed in the direction of Joe Douglas, who was a former Eagle front office guy. And all of a sudden, you're sitting here going, okay, from what I understand, they never offered him a contract, the Eagles. They signed a guy in free agency the first day. That was Hassan Reddick Jr. Same skill set. They move all the bonuses around. And the word is that Hassan was not open to doing the things that Vic was and Bryce Huff was. And that's what made it more of a sexy move for him to want him in, and Vic wanted him out. They're going to a 34. And when you look at the linebackers now, Bryce Huff, Nakobe Dean, Devin White, Nolan Smith, those are your linebackers. I mean, they don't even have the 34 personnel, and you're moving your best defensive player out. I mean, this is not a Howie Roseman move, right? He doesn't usually get fleeced.
No, it's not necessarily a Howie Roseman move. But when I look at it from a financial standpoint, this seems like a move that Howie Roseman would avoid. The fact that you have a player,
it's a lateral move.
You have a player that's going to make around $14.5 million in the upcoming season. Did Hassan Reddick get traded, and did some contract extension immediately get announced with big money? No, and I was waiting for it after the news dropped. I said, all right,
like Snead, right?
Exactly like Snead. I'm like, okay, well, there's going to be a deal that comes out in the next couple of hours that explains this is a contract extension. It's not just trade. So as of right now, with about $32 million under the cap, you mean to tell me 15 million of that couldn't have been assigned to Hassan Reddick? So, okay, either he's going to sign a lucrative deal in the next couple of days leading up to the draft.
Way.
Not going to happen. Or the Eagles have another move up their sleeve, because I would certainly hope that that's the case. And if you really are a guy that's going to have complete autonomy, and I believe you, and I hear the same things as far as this front office goes and the power that they've given Vic Fangio, is that going to be Justin Simmons? Are you going to bring in Justin Simmons? Are you going to spend money on Justin Simmons to not only solidify your safeties? And look, I know Reed Blankenship just signed a deal, but it's a 1-year deal. It's not mega huge kajunga dollars there.
And that tells you right there that this is just, hey, let me figure it out kind of deal.
Exactly.
3-year deals mean you're part of the future, not a 1-year, hey, give me time.
So if you bring in Justin Simmons, you not only bring in a very good safety to play next to a good safety, at least at the worst case, in CJGJ, but you're also bringing in somebody that speaks Vic Fangio. You're bringing in somebody that will obviously know the ins and the outs of him as a defensive coordinator, knows how he likes to speak to his team, knows how he likes to speak to his players. But I don't have much doubt either in your thought there with Vic Fangio, that a lot of the things that he was asked to do, that Hassan Reddick was asked to do towards the end of the season under Matt Patricia, and he literally snickered at or laughed at, depending on how you look at it, hey, you're going to be dropped back in coverage more. Hey, we're going to be looking at you much more as that linebacker and not necessarily that edge rusher, because you're not going to be doing that much rushing, unfortunately. That looks like and sounds like something that comes a lot more from Vic Fangio than it does for Howie Roseman. Because let's not forget, Howie Roseman signed Hassan Reddick to that deal. Howie Roseman is the guy that brought him in here because he wanted that ability from Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick even said, and usually I get players, they skirt this answer, they skirt the question with some general answer about how they're just here to help the team and whatever. But he got asked the question when he was introduced as a Philadelphia Eagle, what do you do best, Hassan Reddick? And what did he say? Downhill, attack the passer, be aggressive, use my speed. What did he do for 2 seasons? That's what he did. What did he do this past season? 11 sacks, and he played 3 games. 3 games with his hand in the sack. To me, look, the guy is, I still think, phenomenally talented, still has a lot left in the tank. I'd love for him to be on the Eagles this upcoming season. I have to believe this is more of a Fangio move than it is anything to do with Howie Roseman.
Isn't that a pivot, though, Mark, again, a little bit, where the organization likes to have complete control, really, of the coaching staff and also the head coach, where for them to get him in the building, I'm not saying panic, but for them, that's a big move for them to go, what do you want, Vic? And then for Howie, I mean, look at the deal. You're not getting any restitution on this Reddick deal, in theory, for 3 drafts. I mean, here's another, and get this. Say the Jets don't sign him and they use him as a 1-year rental. Well, you're going to get a 3rd-round compensation out of that when he leaves and goes somewhere else. I mean, at the end of the day, Mark, I mean, No harm, no foul for the Jets. They pick up and they upgrade at the pass rusher position. He's a better player than Huff that he's shown so far. Huff was a situational player. It just shows me, I think it's goodwill. All right, Vic, here's what we're doing for you to fix this. And I think this puts more pressure on Vic because I don't think that's a traditional Howie Roseman move.
It's not. Base? Not at all. Not at all. And here's for the people that are in the school level, he's not that good. He's not worth even the $15 million that he was going to be getting for the upcoming season, 14 to $15 million. This is a guy that found success with the Cardinals, found success with the Panthers, found the most sustained success that he's had here in Philadelphia with back-to-back double-digit sack seasons, and now he's going to go to the New York Jets where, surprise, surprise, he's going to have another really good season because I think Robert Saleh is going to know how to use him in that Jets defense, and not to mention the guys you already have on that defensive line. Oh, and also not to mention the idea that he wants to bring, to quote Hassan Reddick, and this hurt my heart. Oh, my God, did this hurt my heart, Sales. The idea that he is going to bring that quote-unquote brotherly love to the New York Jets defense and bring that camaraderie to the locker room to help be not only a very talented piece on the field, but one of them glue guys in the locker room that'll help bring it all together and keep it all together. Look, this move, I have no doubt in my mind when we see the numbers that Hassan Reddick is going to put up next season in that defense, I have no doubt in my mind that Eagles fans are going to be all up in their feelings, and they'll have every right to be because on the other side of it, if you just look at it as flipping edge rushers from Hassan Reddick and Bryce Huff is still very much an unproven commodity. You know what's proven? Hassan Reddick. You know why Hassan Reddick wanted that money? Because he could get that money. You know why Hassan Reddick wanted that money? Because he could also be that much more helpful in a defense designed to his strengths than he could for instance, a Vic Fangio type defense. Bryce Huff, very much still a question mark as to whether or not he'll ever get to that consistency that Hassan Reddick has had over the last 4 seasons.
I'll tell you one thing he did do that I thought was smart. I'm talking Hassan Reddick. I think he opened the door to return because he saw with Gardner Johnson here with that nice parting of ways and such. Because, like you said, Mark, if there's not a contract extension by Friday, there's not going to be. I mean, you don't make a trade like that and you have a guy under contract for $14 million, and all of a sudden you go, well, I'll tell you what. And again, the trade and the pick doesn't affect both teams until 26. So you're not under any hurry to put a deal together for the guy. You're really not under any stress to do anything. To me, the short-sightedness of this is really you've made a lateral move. Now, both guys are the same, right? Well, now you put Milton Williams. If you look at the depth chart, Milton Williams is your left end. Are you sure he could play a 5 technique? I haven't seen in 2 years I've covered the team that he's been in a 5 technique. Then you're saying that Jalen Carter's got to play a 5 technique. Now, Jordan Davis is probably more of a 2-gapper and a nose. Okay. Do you have the backers who are great at some of the worst run stoppers? I mean, wow. You have really opened yourself up for this guy, for Vic Fangio. Look, I'm not questioning his scheme. I'm going to be questioning a little bit the personnel decisions that are being made here.
And rightfully so. And I got to go back to this because I know it's $51.1 million. I know it's 3 years. And to your point, it's considering Bryce Huff part of the Eagles' future, obviously. But when you talk about a parallel move or a lateral move that you're making here, I want to say yes, absolutely. But Hassan Reddick is really, really good. He was a Defensive Player of the Year candidate 2 years ago. And he has shown you consistency throughout his time in the NFL, especially over these last 4 seasons. And again, multiple schemes from multiple coordinators,
which is incredibly insane.
How many times have you seen somebody else go to a different defense and then you never see them again?
I've never seen. Most of the time, Mark, when you get moved to different teams, there's different schematic assignments. There's different terminology. I've never seen a guy go to 3 different teams and put up enormous sack. I can't think in NFL history where I've seen a guy go 3 different places and put double-digit sacks. You know, Jadeveon Clowney has never had double-digit sacks in his entire career.
I did know that. Yeah, I did know that. I've been one of the guys that banged the drum. If Jadeveon Clowney doesn't have that incredible tackle with the Gamecocks, he's not.
That sack on the Michigan quarterback. I was there because I covered the Outback Bowl.
Okay.
That's the only play I ever remember him making. And wasn't he the guy that banged up on Wentz?
Yes, he was head first. Yeah, absolutely, he was.
Okay, so those are the only 2 plays, and he was a number 1 overall pick. I always say this about Clowney, Mark. You know, he's that poster that looks really great. You're like, man, that Barbie poster's great. You watch the movie, you're like, that ain't for me.
That's so funny. That's so funny you said that.
Mean, so your takeaway though from the Reddick trade is what?
I'm sorry about that. Kids were screaming in the background. I had to mute it for a second.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that the Vic Fangio. I think it's that Vic Fangio has more power than we're used to seeing some of the defensive coordinators in recent memory here. Sean Desai, Jonathan Gannon to a degree. But when you bring in someone that has has a lot of experience in the NFL, a large amount of experience, like Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz was given pretty much autonomy there, defensively speaking, of what he was going to do with this team.
Or as much say as Steichen?
Jim Schwartz or Jonathan Gannon? Yeah. Do I think Vitch got Steichen? Yeah, I think so.
I think you're
right. And the reason is because Steichen, we have never seen Nick Sirianni in this this much stripped of power. And when I was on with you a couple of months ago, a lot of people jumped on the idea of me talking about how he doesn't call plays, and that is the last thing on my mind right now as far as him not having power. It's not about that. If you follow this bouncing ball with Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen was given more power as the process went on, where you actually looked at a guy like Nick Sirianni and he said, you know what, I'm not going to be here for calling plays. I can't call plays. I'm going to do the game plan. But it still took him a full year for him to acknowledge that transition was made about 5-6 games into his first year as a head coach and a play caller. All right, Shane, this is on your table. Then what happened? At the following year, going into the season, you know what? I'm not calling plays. Yeah, Shane was calling them last year for the most part. I'm not calling plays. I'm going to do the game plan. Shane Steichen's going to call the plays on game day. Then last year we look at it, and it's my offense. It's my offense. It's my offense. Nick Sirianni says it through the entire season. Brian calls the plays my offense. By the time that end of the season press conference rolled around, what did he say? It's the offensive coordinator's offense, and I'm just here to say cream and sugar. That's basically the way it comes with Nick Sirianni. So for me, I think Vic Fangio is going to have that complete autonomy from the start and won't gradually get that responsibility built up for himself the way Shane Steichen did in his time here in Philly.
Do you believe that this roster on April 2nd, this time, right now before the draft, is as good as the roster of a year ago in 2023? Do you believe you're better?
Do I believe that they're better?
Now, remember, let me add this in. You've lost Kelsey. You've lost Cox. You got new coordinators in the building. That Jason Kelsey loss is pretty big.
I put it to you like this. I think my feeling is Cam Jurgens is ready to play center at the NFL level. The only problem is you're going from possibly the greatest ever to I'm pretty sure this guy can play the position. So that's still a pretty big drop off.
You never want to replace the guy. You want to replace the guy who replaced the guy.
Exactly. But I will, as I look at the Eagles' offensive line as a whole, it is not that much of a concern for me. And the reason is I have a good feeling about Cam Jurgens, what he's going to be able to do. I have a good feeling in either I have a good Tyler Steen or Matt Hennessy being able to play either guard position or even center. And if he plays center and Cam Jurgens stays at right guard, I think you still have a very good offensive line. And on top of it, I still think the Eagles are going to draft an offensive lineman in the first round. That's where I'm leaning towards right now. I think they'll go after a cornerback in the second round. I know everyone wants to hear linebacker, but that's where I'm out at right now as far as the Eagles draft goes. Whoever comes in here, you have the best offensive line coach in football in Jeff Stoughton. So I'm not all that much concerned with the offensive line. If the offensive line even does a decent job, which I am very confident they'll do better than decent or serviceable, that should be plenty of time for Jalen Hurts to make a play with these weapons that he has at his disposal and an offensive mind like Shane Steichen, I'm doing it again. Offensive mind like Kellen Moore at the helm as opposed to Brian Johnson. So for me, when you factor in the coordinators like you and I spoke about maybe a week ago, this offense I think is better. This offense is better than it was a year ago.
Is the team better?
Defense has me worried. even with think about this. Think about where they are right now.
You hang on that offensive side. I'm like, okay, I'm not debating that. I'm like,
okay.
I'm like, what about the 53 man? Is it?
Oh,
I'm like,
defense. What the hell's that,
Mark? I don't know, man. I gotta.
No, I'm worried. Sills, I'm worried. When you talk about the defense, how do you? So you're gonna all of a sudden you've gone like think about a guy like Milton Williams. Think about a guy like Milton Williams. Think about Jordan Davis. All right, think about those guys. You're a team that's built in the trenches. All right, so you're gonna only have 3 guys in those trenches now. You're gonna move Josh Sweat to outside linebacker. You're
and
like
a
how
backup.
So how are you doing this
right now?
Yeah. So,
I still think he could be traded on draft day.
It's very possible. And Brandon Graham, by the way, going back to a 3-4 scheme that he did under Billy Davis a million years ago. This is where we're going. This is where we're going. I got no doubt in my mind that Fletcher Cox was already thinking about, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go hunting this offseason. I'm gonna go down that farm in Texas that I go down to. I'm gonna hang out with my girl, and I'm gonna have all sorts of great times.
When he saw they were going to a 34, I bet you that forced that retirement even more so. And that forced Fletcher. That forced Fletcher out of the building. I'm telling you.
Yeah, in a I'm not saying that as a like, vindictive way, but yeah.
And he's not playing nose at 35 years old.
Yeah, the thought crossed my mind. So that's where I think this all. So look, who's the starting corner other than Darius Slay? Is it Keely Ringo? James Bradbury definitely coming back. How are they gonna do this?
Bradbury may have a bounce back year because he's going to be asked to play center field again. He's not going to be a press corner. And Fangio plays press corner. This is what Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey were complaining about, is that this guy wanted to play center field corners. Well, those 2 guys showed in 22 they were more apt to playing that style of defense to contain and control than to press up. Look what they did in Seattle. That thing was a train wreck, Mark, when they started pressing. And those guys were getting behind him. Drew Lock freaking beat him. I mean, Drew Lock's beating your all-pro corners? Come on, you got a problem then.
Yeah.
All right.
I do remember that. I do remember that game. Seth Joyner was not. But he was so excited that they were finally playing some press coverage, and it turned out to be terrible. But anyway,
it was terrible. All right. Can Andy Reid save Carson Wentz?
Oh, gross! I'm still surprised. It was one of those things. I was like, it's April 1st. You ain't getting me that like Andy Reid is going to somehow be a quarterback whisperer to Carson Wentz. I am so far removed from giving a damn about Carson Wentz. I did look at it just only because of the local connection with Andy Reid, and it's a very good football team. And Carson Wentz with, again, as a backup quarterback, actually it wasn't backup for the Super Bowl, but with somebody else leading the team, he could get a second Super Bowl ring. Woo! Let's think about that for a second.
What a legacy.
2-time Super Bowl, never playing in one, winning quarterback Carson Wentz. He's a backup quarterback in the league. It just goes to show you. It really is amazing. And I talk about this a lot with people, especially people that aren't huge sports fans. You ever have those conversations, you try to translate it to those people about what's going on here, and they'll ask about, that Carson Wentz guy was beloved. What happened to him? And I'm like, well, how much time do you have? But when it comes down to Carson Wentz, just goes to show you that there are so many people that have this incredible athletic ability. And you go to the combine and you're seeing these guys tenths of a second separated in terms of physical ability, right? And I'm not saying that doesn't matter, but what I am saying matters more is what's between the ears. What's your mental makeup? Can you take criticism, not just from fans, but from coaches? Can you be resilient when you face adversity? Can you come back? If while you're out and somebody else has success, can you come back full steam ahead and say, you know what? All right, that bar's raised kind of high to get to a Super Bowl. I better get back to that same level. Can you take that? Can you take, my replacement's already been drafted and Jalen Hurts like 5 seconds after I signed a $160 million deal? There is so much more than just the physical intangibles of football. The mental intangibles there, the mental side of it is huge. And that's why Carson is, and for the foreseeable future will be, a backup quarterback.
one thing I have noticed about you Philly guys is that, well, Gardner Johnson leaves. Guy was a locker room cancer. Carson Wentz, guy's a locker room cancer. Shit, Hassan Reddick, guy was a locker room cancer. I'll tell you what, you throw a lot of that in there on. I mean, hey, look, you tar and feather these guys out the door here a little bit.
Oh, no.
I mean,
I would bring Hassan Reddick back in a heartbeat.
Is that just by coincidence?
No, sheer coincidence. I would bring Hassan Reddick back in a heartbeat. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson literally said Philly fans are a bunch of heifers. Okay, and I said,
but he's apologized.
Yeah, but he said, I'd like to apologize. Anytime I hear someone say, I'd like to apologize, I still wait for the I'm sorry. And I didn't hear that. And then he also said,
Trey.
Then here's Trey.
You forgave the third base guy who called you guys scumbags or something.
Oh, Alec Boehm.
Yeah,
Alec
him.
Boehm.
You forgave him.
He said he hates this bleeping place. And you know what? After it, he owned it. And then we're like, you're damn right, that's our guy. At some point, some Philadelphian has been in traffic and said that same thing. I hate this bleeping place. Okay? They've gotten a ticket from the PPA, and they say, I hate this bleeping place. And some Philadelphia person had said that. Okay? At some point, you have said.
I guarantee you, with 95 being down right now, you guys totally hate the place. Hey, finally, Mark.
But real quick on CJGJ, he said it. He said it that I thought it was a compliment to be obnoxious. He never apologized for calling us effers. That SOB. He never did. And you know what? I don't care because I'm happy to have him in my secondary.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, finally here. I heard you say that you believe that the Eagles are going to go OT on the 22nd pick. I think they're going edge because you know why? I think they're going to do what Vic wants. I think they're going to load up on defense on that side of the ball.
Okay. Go defensive.
Now, they may
edge
trade
rusher.
down too, Mark. They may trade down because there's about 14 guys who could go in the first round that are offensive linemen that are really good players. There's a lot of good old linemen. You might trade down, get yourself a 3 because right now they've got 1, 2 2s, a 4, and 1, 2, 3. They've got 3 5s and a 6. So you might want to get another 2 and a 3. Maybe how about this? You make a deal with Kansas City. Kansas City moves up to 22. You move down to 32, and you get yourself a player in the top of the second and top of the third for moving down there like that. I don't know. I mean,
no, that's like a Howie move. That would be a very Howie-esque move. You have an opportunity to get guys that you're valuing high, that nobody else is valuing high in your year of transition, full transition to Vic Fangio, and you get more picks for Howie to play with. Yeah, that sounds a lot more like Howie Roseman. And that also sounds like it would also scratch the itch that Vic Fangio once scratched when it comes to changing his defense over, or this defense over.
It's Reddick deal, man. Hey, never offered him a contract. Told him to get the hell out of town.
They offered him a contract 3 years ago. It was a good contract. I was hoping he was still going to play out that contract. And to quell any the pissed offness I have when I get up all in my feelings about it, I better see a contract extension in the next couple of days. And I know I'm not going to see it. We're not going to see it, though.
I don't. I'm with you. I think the Jets are going to play this out.
Yeah, they're going to play it out. They're going to get a hell of a player. They're going to, and Robert Saleh's going to know how the hell to use him exactly how he wants to be used in a way that he has shown off his talent more and more times.
Robert Saleh knows Vic from San Francisco, and Howie knows Joe
Douglas. Yeah,
Joe Douglas
from here,
from Philly. Gee,
from Philly, yeah.
That worked out. Again, that's part of the Philly coincidence, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm saying?
Mark, it is always great talking to you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate your time. Make sure you check him out. He starts the morning off here on JAKIB each and every single day, Monday through Friday. Thank you so much, Mark.
My pleasure, brother. Talk to you soon.
You got it. The great Mark Farzetta, and I appreciate it. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Keep it International Football Show.
Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports, and certainly the easiest when you're watching the NBA. And the NBA playoffs are almost here, and you can win money making picks. What are you waiting for? Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com and use the promo code WIN. An Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN. Get ready for the NBA and get ready for the NBA playoffs. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code WIN.
Philadelphia fans. We're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Mike Little was a union construction worker who was badly injured when he suffered a horrific fall because of someone's negligence. His life would change forever.
It was just a real downward spiral with everything. Everything you do, and you're sitting home by yourself all day. You can't go out because you can't drive, you can't walk well. It was just a horrible situation.
Call Brian Fritz at the Fritz & Beyond Cooley Law Firm at 215-548-2222.
EAGLES, Eagles.
I'm meditating because I'm here to help. All Eagle fans, be prepared. I'm like Moses in the Ten Commandments. Some of you heathens don't even know what I'm talking about, but that's okay. I'm here to help. Oh, Lord. Big Sills in the land of Sillonites. Help us. What do you foresee? I see 7 wins. I see 7 wins in a 34 defense when you have no linebackers. What should we do, oh Lord Sills? You should make a trade. Don't let Howie draft. He's not very good at it. He can't draft linebackers. Oh, Big Sills Lord. Who would you take? I would take an edge rusher, a linebacker, an offensive lineman to help your woes as you try to turn around a 7-win season. In Big Sills, we pray. Amen. Okay. Wiggins or Kool-Aid? Dude, you need an edge rusher, Junior. Chuck, thank you, my friend. That's what we try to do here. We try to make everybody laugh. Just a little bit. And some people like, what's that guy's name? Dick Train. Dick Train, you were one whale of a sport today. Thank you so much for all your eagle waving. I'm assuming that that's Big Bill behind that Dick Train I don't know. Let me go, man. I don't know. Dick Train, it's all good, man. We're boys. Don't forget. Hey, once a dick, always a dick. Remember that. Xander, Big Joe, all good. We appreciate it. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we shall see you on the flip.